welcome everyone to the Wargaming.net League North America 2017 fall season. I'm James Rockstar Grief, joined alongside by Randall Rookhill Holcomb. Today is Matchday 5, one that I think should be really hype.
Absolutely, it's going to be completely dope. I mean, it's going to be just mad hype. James.
I agree completely. It should be fun, especially starting off with Eclipse versus Top Tier. It's going to be, if Top Tier can really step up their game, play as well as I think they can anyways, I think it'll be a good match.
Absolutely. And don't forget, guys, tell us all about it, what you think of our matches here on social media, on Twitter at WGLNA. Of course, use the hashtag WGLNA, and on Facebook as well, /WGLNA. Both James and I are actually going to go live before this show, every single broadcast, to bring you little tips, tricks, and insights into the matches today as we go in depth for that.
And that's stuff you can use for the Fantasy League as well. You can find that at fantasytanks.com. Pick your best starting 7, compete against everyone for prizes. Not against me and Randall. You can see how we do, but we aren't eligible for prizes.
We don't get anything.
You guys can. Type 59 every single match day, so make sure you guys get in there. It's a whole lot of fun, and there are plenty of resources available to do well, so there's no reason not to.
Absolutely. So, James, with that one, how do you feel about your picks today, sir?
I feel pretty good. It's going to be a close couple of matches. There could be some movement around the standings, so let's go ahead and take a look at exactly who can move where as those pop up right now. Elevate sitting comfortably in first place. Only Eclipse or Dare could tie with them, but Elevate are taking on F7, so I don't see that happening. Eclipse take on Top Tier, who are 3 points behind them. Dare Rising will take on Teal Team 6. We'll get more of that later. Looking at the bottom, F7 and Aquatic M60s both struggling with 3 points apiece. And 07 still on track to being 0-7 as they have yet to pick up a win this season.
Yep, we'll see if they have any chance of doing that today. They're going to be facing off against Aquatic, and that's where they have some hope because both of those teams are struggling in the standings right now.
Yeah, however, first up today, we're going to have Eclipse versus Top Tier, and then that will be followed by 07 versus Aquatic M60s, and then as we mentioned, offline, Elevate versus F7, and then Teal Team 6 versus, slipping my mind, Dare Rising.
Dare. Yep.
So both the offline matches should be pretty good. Obviously, we think Elevate's probably going to on their way to another 5-0.
Yeah.
Now, the Teal Team 6 Dare game, that should be a bit closer, especially if Teal Team 6 can play as well as they did on the last match day, but I think Dare will still pick that one up.
Yeah, that's within my expectations as well. Dare looks like around the same team they were last season, where they're pretty good, but something about the consistency isn't there.
Yeah, and they're just working on the polish on that team. And I think they're well on their way. Just give it a few more weeks, and I think they could be a real contender. However, enough on them. Let's get to today's first match, which is going to be Top Tier versus Eclipse.
Yes, and so we've actually had some minor changes made to the roster. Top Tier has removed Nits and Sublime Banana. They've added Smiley, Rage, and Fixer Reloaded. You'll see them at the top of the roster there.
Yep, Fixer Reloaded was on the team last season under La Cucaracha Ciega.
La Cucaracha Ciega.
There you go. And then Smiley Rage was on the team when it was known as Siebel to Tweet before Rude came back and turned it back into Top Tier. So, well, they're new to this current roster. They're not new entirely to the team and a lot of the teammates, so that should be fine. And then Muril exits, Delph. Delph actually not going to be playing today. He had his wisdom teeth taken out this morning, so he is not in the starting lineup. So if you have him on the fantasy team, there might be a chance that you can still get him out there, but do it quickly.
Yeah, that was a good catch. I actually had to take him off my team earlier because he actually performed so very well, but
and worst comes to worst, this may be a time where the having the 8th reserve slot may actually come into play. Now, we move on to Eclipse, who have not made any roster changes during this. They have T1 Diabetic, their captain, Positive, who came in at the start of the season along with Germ. They've been doing pretty well. They struggled versus Eclipse, but overall I think they're kind of settling in and getting in their groove. I think Positive's sort of adapting to the NA meta, so I think they're well on their way to really pushing Elevate still.
Yeah, I think so. It says a lot when a team doesn't make any roster changes that they feel quite confident. And I think Eclipse has a lot of reason to feel confident, seeing as most of their matches have gone fairly well in their way.
And if you look at the percentages, their attacking win rate, 75%. That's pretty impressive for match days. And we're getting to the point where we can kind of look at the sample size, and it is enough to actually mean something, unlike the first few match days.
Absolutely. So now, looking at both of those teams, are expected score lines. Let's talk a little bit about those. What are you thinking? What are you
before we get to that, let's take a look at the map pool.
Oh, the map pool first. That's a good idea. Because then
the maps will say a lot to the predictions.
Everything. Yeah, so looking at this, Cliffs and River are out first. What do you think of that?
Not too surprising. Top Tier is pretty good on Cliffs. Seeing that ban doesn't surprise me out of Eclipse. Prok and Murovanka, 2 maps that Top Tier actually are really struggling on right now, especially Prok. And then Himmelsdorf Mines. Was definitely a downfall for Top Tier in the last match day, so no surprise there. And then Ruinberg and Ghost Town in the last 2. So nothing that really sticks out as far as maps played. I know that Ghost Town is actually a perfect record right now for Eclipse.
Really? Okay.
4 games in, perfect for 4 for 4, so that should be interesting if it gets that far.
It will, and then Himmelsdorf is the tiebreaker. That's weird.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do well for Eclipse.
Yeah, I think that I have to give that towards Eclipse, especially with German, their team now. He's always been a caller that's been very comfortable on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah.
And top tier, they've been trying some experimental stuff on Himmelsdorf, not really all of it working out that well. Some of it looked all right, but just nothing to give me a lot of confidence in him.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Right now, with top tier, it's based on what Rude said last week. That 8% of what their potential is kind of what we were told to expect. And so, if 8% is what we were getting last match day from top tier, here's hoping they kick that up a little bit, and that might allow them to actually challenge Eclipse. But my prediction is going to stay at 2 and 5 unless we see some major turnarounds from top tier. I'm not saying they can't happen, James. I'm just saying, unless I see those, I'm giving you a 2-5. And I haven't seen evidence yet to say that top tier's really got to rival Eclipse.
I think this is a game where top tier can really make a statement, even if they don't win. If they come out swinging, they really take the fight to Eclipse, I think that'll go a long way to saying, look, next round robin, we're here, guys. We're ready to go. You better be ready. And I think that they kind of need that momentum to start getting built up right now. And now that they've had a couple days to scrim with their players to come back from suspension, make a few roster changes, I think now's the time to really, really start to take off.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the captains have to say for themselves, because I'm going to be waiting to see, is Rude, what does he think his team's at today? Does he think that they're above that 8% of last week?
Yeah, well, we can find out because they're going to join us right now on the face-off.
Fantastic.
And we have T1 joining us for Eclipse instead of Ledif. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, yourself?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Rude, good to see you as always.
Yep, nice to see you guys.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to start with you, Rude, because you guys did make the roster changes during the roster change. Picked up 2 new players. Why don't you kind of walk us through what you're looking to get out of them, why you made the change, etc.
Just felt like, some changes were required. I needed another person on the team who was like a light tank player. So Smiley kind of came into play. Fixer's really dedicated and really good, reliable player. So I wanted to get him back on the team and just kind of trying some things out. And felt comfortable with those players. And for the next few weeks, that's who we're gonna have.
All right. So more roster changes on the horizon?
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
We'll get to that when we cross to it. Now,
Nothing serious, though.
Right. So, T1, now you guys didn't make any roster changes. You guys have been kind of comfortable. You struggled versus Elevate, but other than that, you guys have had a pretty clean record. Are you guys kind of confident where you're at? Because that's what we think, looking at no roster changes being made, is you guys are confident and ready to go.
Yeah, just pretty much. It's kind of like last season. Start off slow. You make changes. There's always going to be, chemistry issues, so you just go with what you have. And obviously connection issues and stuff that was plaguing us in the beginning of this season doesn't help, but just all these practices are just pretty much strive, get into playoffs, and then just go from there. By the end of the season we hope to be 100%.
All right, so I asked the same question to Aggressor last time we talked to him. Do you think your current roster is one that with enough practice you can stack up versus Elevate comfortably?
Yeah, we've always have been. It's always been close between us. The 5-2 last week was unfortunate, but I don't think the 5-2 really, especially that early in the season, shows that we're that much weaker than them.
Okay. All right, and Rude, last question, last match day. You said you guys were at about 8%. Now that you've had a few days to scrim, going in versus Eclipse, where are you at? Still an 8?
Maybe 12%.
Okay, moving it up a little bit. All right, Rude, any final thoughts for T1 or Eclipse?
Yeah, well, I just want to say, we might have Delph play today. I don't know. He kind of sounds like a really, really drunk Rocky Balboa right now.
He's just I'm not that drunk. Is that kind of way? He's like, that's not that bad, guys. It's not that bad. Is that kind of way?
He's in a lot of pain, right? So he took pain medication, but
as they do.
Hopefully he might play today, but we don't know. We'll see.
All right, T1, any final thoughts for Rude Awakening in the top tier?
None. Just go have fun. Respect you guys. We've always had fun. We've always been good practice partners. So, just good match.
All right, guys.
I'll see you later, T1, and good luck today.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys for joining us.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Whee! So 12%, we're up there.
Moving up, inching up slowly.
Just a little bit.
So we'll see what happens. Now, in case you guys missed it, Delth is out. Well, he wasn't supposed to play because he just has wisdom teeth out. Sounds like he may make an appearance, but if things are close, I don't know that we'll see him in there in his current condition.
Yeah, I would not expect someone to want to play while having their wisdom teeth taken out.
Yeah, been there, not fun.
Not fun. My first cast was like a week after I got mine out. Yeah, dude.
I couldn't even imagine
No,
that.
dude, I couldn't play. I couldn't do anything. It's just, you're done.
Yeah.
You're completely done for a few days. And then he's got to like take care of everything, sleep.
Yeah, no, even sleeping's a task.
Yeah, exactly, right? So if we sit Dell tonight, it's a miracle.
Yeah,
But-
no, props off to him,
Yeah.
stepping up. And he wants to be part of the team and, contribute where he can, so you can't, knock him for that. Now, we're not going to see this player tonight, but Greg from Teal Team 6 actually has mono right now as well.
Oh, no.
And there was rumors that he was actually going to have to play because of some other players having some attendance issues, but I heard that there is one person on his team that was able to cancel up plans to be able to play tonight.
Oh,
so
okay.
he doesn't have to play, but that would have been quite hilarious to watch.
That would have sucked.
As Greg said, it would have been like their team playing with 6 people. So luckily for them, they don't
Like
have to
it
go
isn't
through
normally?
that tonight.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I swear. Teal Team 6 is doing very well.
Yeah, no, they'll continue to do well. I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah.
Now that we've talked to the captains, we've already gone over our predictions. So you change your mind at all, or you still sticking to your guns?
I want to change it a little bit, maybe, but yeah, 5-2. Okay, I'll stick with 5-2. Yeah,
Okay, 5-2. All right.
5-2.
Yeah, I still think top tier. I think they're kind of underestimating where they're at. And Smiley Rage is a fantastic player. So if you can get him in there and really play at his full potential, I think they could definitely take it to him. But once again, I still think I think Eclipse still edge it out 5-3. I don't think I've
5-3,
changed really.
maybe 5-4.
Yeah, especially looking at the map pool as well. I don't see anything that really tips it in one favor or another. A few of the weaker maps for top tier, but low sample size, only a couple games played, so you can't really read into it.
That's a fair point. That is completely fair. I don't with top tier, even though he says they're up a little bit, I feel like what Rude's also going to do is he's going to keep low expectations.
Yep.
Because really, if we expect top tier to 5-4 versus Eclipse, who went as close, who went up against Elevate just not long ago and pulled out pretty good wins here and there.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm very skeptical that top tier is going to win overall at all. You've got the map picks here, right here?
Yeah, so I was actually going to look at Prokhorovka as the first one that's going to come up. And if you remember the last match day, they ended up just going straight up to the middle ridge and just duking it out with 07. I wonder if that's something that we'll see again against Eclipse. It could be a little bit harder against Eclipse, though, just because it's Eclipse. 07, a team arguably on the same skill area. Maybe that is why they kind of decided to go for that. But I just don't know that they could pull that sort of same head-to-head strat off against Eclipse, just because they have so many players individually talented in that regard.
Yeah. And, as we look across Proc, I think one of the things that we'll have to watch out for is what kind of strats are going to be coming out today. We've seen a lot of west side map plays from our attackers, a few mid plays. A little less often are we seeing that east-west track split. Wouldn't you agree, James?
Yeah, the hill kind of adds a overview, an Overwatch position to that whole side, or to the east side anyways. And so it kind of makes it, you either have to go to one or the other if they have any tanks up on the hill, and trying to take the hill from someone is quite a task because of all the different lanes that they can cover them from. So that kind of leads teams to kind of play the other side of the map. You have to, you get a lot more of the map and a lot more control, and it's a lot easier to take that cap out in the field, one cap. So especially out of the attacker, I think that's the better play, going for that 2 cap. I'm just not a big fan of. You can do it, but with the A0 position, if the team plays it right and they have a tank dug in up there, he's really hard to get out. That's like a guaranteed free reset, if not lights at the bare minimum.
So so you're saying like the reason we're not seeing east side plays on Proc as much is because west side is ultimately just a lot more reliable.
I think it's more reliable, and I think there are less dug-in positions for the defense to really sit in and hold up. Now,
that's a fair point. Yeah.
If you look at top tier, though, and what they've been doing with their mid aggression, that is one way to go about taking that side of the map. Something that's from the older meta, from back in the days. Just get very, very hyper aggressive and take the fight to your opponent. that is one option, and I do have to say I am a fan of the sort of aggressive plays, just because even on the defending side, you get to dictate the tempo. You get to say, look, we're going to fight on our terms, which that's something that some of the passive defenses don't necessarily do as much. Now, Mines, it works fine because I have a map set up right now, but some of the other maps, like Cliff, for example, those passive defenses, you figure out where each tank is, you give the opponent all the map control and time to break it, and that's something with Prok, as big as it is, as open as it is, if you give your opponent time to work around, they're going to find the angles to start chipping away at you.
You're right. It's just everything is all about like keeping in motion, keep playing those various levels of the game, because like information is a huge part of World of Tanks, and you have to keep either as your scout, which in this case I think Smiley's going to be scouting out for top tier. That'll be a huge plus for their information game, because if they can get better and better at scouting, they can play different strategies, and they don't have to do what we saw last week where they just kind of go up and over at the opponent. That was top tier on Prok, right?
Yeah, it was top tier and 07. They were just going straight up to the middle ridge, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at live tank picking here. About 40 seconds on the timer as they come in. So as they ready them up, we'll see them. Rude already bringing that 5A, no surprise there. Now, the thing to keep an eye on with top tier is how heavy they go. I don't expect to see Eclipse go very heavy. I think more of a STRV and Batchat mix for them, maybe a light tank. We do see one 5A come out, so it'll be interesting to see this kind of mind game between these two teams. Another 5A coming out for top tier. IS-7s, more 5As, one Batchat, one T100, and exits, raise up another IS-7. So very heavy out of both teams as Eclipse, and I stand corrected. We may just see it up and over brawl at the start of this game.
Yeah, that actually is what this lineup looks to be saying to me as well. It's IS-7s. The 5As versus IS-7s, what are you feeling? Will those give any edge to top tier?
DPM goes to the 5As, but the armor, especially on that middle ridge, goes to top tier. The I7 just has better upper plate, better turret. So if they can, bounce some shots with those IS-7s and really work that ridge, they can gain the advantage despite having worse DPM in those tanks.
Yep. And now as we're getting ready, the countdown is going. We've got a T100 is one thing I want to talk about. Smiley's going to be playing that scout, and as we mentioned before, that scout game might be little bit more reliable from top tier. Of the two Batchats, you can play a lot of active mid scouting. Easy stuff to get away with, but we'll have to see where Smiley heads off to. Follow him off the start.
Now, the other key thing to note here is it's two Batchats for Eclipse versus a Batchat and a T100. Which do you prefer in this case? Do you prefer the double Batchat, or do you like the T100 mixed in there?
Well, first of all, I'll say player choice, right? If a player's not ready to play that T100, I would. If I'm on the battlefield, I would probably love to play the T100. It's a fun little tank. And right off the bat, not a lot of spotting. WZ 5A is lit in the mid for Eclipse, as Smiley's able to actually get himself into a dangerous... Actually, is he spotted? Yes, he is. He gets lit by T1, nice counter scout, and he's going to have to abandon his initial choice of a position. Loops back up as a mid-fight is underway.
Yep, and they're just looking for some trades. Muriel actually taking a shot on the Batchat from positive all the way across the map. And heavy tanks for Eclipse taking a beating right now. They got a few early shots, but the later trades have been pretty poor for them so far. And even Smiley Rage trying to get in on the act up on that red line.
Yeah. A few shots coming in from out of nowhere. I don't know if finally a hit. The Eclipse guys are going to know that something's up. They're going to send positive off to the west to try and deal with that. T1 is also in the west side of the map. We'll have to see as they aggress on that portion up the west side if they're going to find a way through, because right now, damage-wise, it's a little bit in the favor of top tier. You see Muriel taking a little bit of damage.
Yeah, T1 died
right there. It's T1 into Muriel. Muriel needs to get out ASAP. Because
and he picks it up. T1 actually gets the blind shot.
Yeah, he's not lit either. T1's completely invisible.
It was super hype.
Yeah, that was great shots right there. Now as we look, nice shot on the back of draw cap, and Smiley's going to abandon his position, recognizing, guys, this is not okay. This isn't going to keep working. T100 can't quite stay out on the zone on the other side of the map. But look, two Batchats are still alive versus the T100 of Smiley. We need to get a Batchat out of it.
This is where top tier might struggle. Now that one of those Batchats is down, we're actually going to see positive go up and over the train tracks, and he's actually going to poke over right now and just look for some free shots onto exits. He gets one. He might get a second here on the lower plate, bounces that one, takes a shot, and positive overextending, just trying to get the clip off, but he's bounced too many shells and ends up being focused out. I'm not really sure what that was. Meanwhile, Exo comes over, puts a shot into exits, and this is really even.
Yeah, I think Exo's going to be where we see that aggression come in. Exo's going to pressure onto exits. Aghako's not really paying attention. Root does get a shot into him. Nicely played right there. but Exits needs to get out of this position because nicely killed onto Germ. Exits is going to go down with one more shell, and EXO is doing an excellent job at using him for cover. Look at that.
And Exit using the armor of that IS-7 to actually bounce a shot. So he in there, he bounces one of his own. Akako coming in there trying to make up for it. Now EXO could pick up the kill on this IS-7, and he bounces another.
Oh, EXO is not able to get that done. Excellent play by Exits. Good teamwork, good cover. And this is slowly going into the favor of top tier for your battle number 1. Nicely played. Good teamwork and good coverage.
Yeah, positive, I'd have to disagree with the play there. Ended up going down, trying to get his clip off into Exits. He knew he could clip him if he made all his shots count. However, he bounced a couple of them, and he got traded out very well by top tier. They put some damage into him quickly, switched up the focus fire, and took him down. And that from that point on, it pretty much tipped it in favor of top tier.
Now, I'll say real quick, T1 is loaded. Looks like he's trying to find a target. If he can pick up a few kills, he can salvage this for Eclipse, but he will not be able to do that as T1 and Nonik go down all in the same few seconds with only one tank left. Photo, one of the best heavy tankers in the game, is left standing alone, and he goes down.
Leptev picks up the kill, and that's going to be 1-0 in favor of top tier. Really making that up and over strat work, the one we were talking about just beforehand. They're sticking to it. They didn't change it up. Just, went for the map control. So even on defense, you got to like it. And once again, the other thing I pointed out before the game, IS-7. They can negate the advantage that the 5As have in DPM by using their armor. And we watched Exits bounce shot after shot after shot, really making that IS-7 a valuable choice.
Yep, and so just look at this opening moves. Everyone stacks up in the mid, and this is this is a strat as old as the game, really. And everyone just starts squaring off. And it's all those little things that change this, like watching EXO just unable to get that shot, that one shell that he needed to break open an entire side of the map. Because he wasn't able to do that in enough time, backup arrived and help finally showed up, and they dealt with the issue.
And surprise, surprise, in a heavy tank brawl, one of the better heavy tank players in the league, in Akako, 4,200 damage, 3 kills, 112 fantasy points, not bad at all. One other thing, well, Exit's got 2,400 damage and 1 kill, the stat that you don't see there. He had 13 shots received, only 5 penetrations, 8 non-pens for almost 4,000 damage blocked in that IS-7 that game.
That's 4,000 damage, by the way, that was not done to any tanks. That's 4,000 damage that could have been done by Eclipse.
So really making that armor work there between bouncing the shots from Exits and from EXO. So overall, good stuff, not from Exits, but from Positive in the bat chat.
Yeah.
And poor Positive only got off 2 penetrating shots, fired 3 total. Germ struggled in that game, only had 3 connections. But just overall, even Drock was only top performer there for Eclipse. Now, as we go into our next battle, going to change it up a little bit. Now, still the same lineup from top tier. Actually, same one they brought already. But look at Eclipse.
Oh, they got a Foch B.
IS-7, 2 5As, 2 bat chats, the Foch B, and the Sturf. So double tank destroyer. Not just the Foch B, but 2 tank destroyers. We haven't really seen that since teams started bringing the double STRV on this map middle of last season.
Yeah, you're right about that. Now, I'm waiting to see where is that Foch B going to go. This is Eclipse on defense.
If I am Eclipse right now, my logic anyways would be hold the 1 line, use the Sturf and the Foch B to really bully it and cover, say, a bat chat out in front and take control, because you know that top tier are playing for that middle ridge. The way you crack that middle ridge is by controlling that 1 line. So if we see some tanks go in that direction, work on that, open it up, maybe they can, really pin top tier down and restrict what they can do. Now the Foch B is going to go over with one of the bat chats actually towards the 6th line. And are we going to see Drock go all the way up to the 8-9 climb? Is he just going to the bush in the riverbed?
Looks like he's going to go head up to the northeast. Yeah, he'll stay down below.
Photo finish, getting spotted on that middle ridge as the heavy tanks for top tier just coming all right here. Are we going to see them just go up and over the train tracks right now? No, they're going to go over on the photo finish. Rude Awakening's just saying, hold my beer, just going straight over. Leptev taking some damage, but I don't know that they're going to be able to really save photo finish here.
Probably not. It looks like he's going to go down pretty quickly. Although this is something you were watching a practice from top tier and telling me about that. This is similar to a strategy they were trying off the field just a few days
and look
ago.
at how pinned all of a sudden Eclipse are. They can't move that Foch B and bat chat because there are guns on both sides of the train tracks, and now the heavies are in the low ground, so they could make this very easily a 2-0.
They could, but the position right now is quite dangerous, and I'd be worried right now.
Well,
Although,
down goes
Smiley.
Positive's a one-shot, so they do lose Smiley Ridge for top tier, but Positive's down to a one-shot and stuck at A6. And now Drock is trying to back up into a bush, and there are 2 tanks opposite of him. So if they make their move quickly enough, they could close this out. They are up by about 2,000 HP over Eclipse right now.
There we go. Okay, Eclipse has figured it out. Go south, loop around, and get the flank. Sturv, played by T1, is getting into his position. He'll be dangerous and able to pin. Positive is down. That's not good.
Nice shot from Mural there, racking up those fantasy points for everyone.
But Germ and Exo will need to go around south and get all the way across the east side of the train tracks. If they can do that, we got something. If they can't, well, then top tier actually does look like they have a pretty decent chance.
They have the extra gun alive. Now they got the pick onto Positive. Photo Finish can't really hold that middle ridge right now. Now, Eclipse are very spread out, and that could work for them or it could work against them, because right now, like, Muriel is coming over this ridge. He should find the Foch B with no one in position to support him. Not yet. They need about another 20 seconds to rotate in, and Muriel's just going to close with this Foch B, get the shots on his side, and he's going to take down Drock.
There we go. Nice medium play. That's how you take down a tank destroyer. Approach from the side, and of course you're a bat jet, so it's that much easier.
Yep, and you couldn't have done that alone, but because Exits in that I-7 was there and in the open ground, was able to work his armor and get that Foch B to start focusing on him and empty some shots.
Yep, there's Germ putting a shell into the dirt. Germ, you got to make those count. And top tier actually, right now their options look pretty good. They can pressure the cap. They just need to pick a direction and go. Once they realize that there's weakness, they can leave No Neck behind and just jump onto Germ or Exo. I think that would be pretty effective. What do you think?
It's definitely an option. However, at this point, I think top tier they have the advantage in the HP as Rude Awakening is about to go down to T1 Diabetic. Great shot there. I think top tier at this point just need to decide what they're going to do and make a play. Now, because if you look at the positioning of Eclipse, because they're so split right now, it's really hard for top tier to move. Now, this is the advantage of being this spread for Eclipse, is they control every different little lane, and they're at such great distance that these slow heavy tanks are not going to be able to group up and easily find an overmatch, which is what top tier and Rude Awakening are trying to find right now.
Yeah, although Muriel, I like this. Muriel is moving around to the south right now, hunting for Exo, and he's actually going to chase him off. With this, Germ's pinned without a lot of support. And so I think Muriel might be able to come up right behind Germ in just a second and put about 3 shells right into his engine deck. If he can do that, then follow that up with a little bit from Exits, and I think that should be the fight, if we can. Germ spotted. Is Muriel going to go for that? He doesn't quite have the shot because of the turn in the train tracks. There's a little bit of a twist in it. Kind of creates a bit of cover for Germ, and he's actually going to stay safe because of that. Although, looks for it, finds one. In the back of his turret. Second one into the back of the commander's hatch. Third one doesn't look like a connection. He's going to back off. That's Germ at half health. Exits can now follow up at half health.
Exo tried to get a shot in there, but Muriel got away just in time. And Exo can't really close. Exit knows that Germ has lost some HP, and he is the most vulnerable. However, if they try to go up and over into Germ here, they're going to have to cross this STRV of T1 Diabetic, who will be able to rifle off shot after shot after shot.
Yes, he will. Now, it looks like JoJo and Ughaka want to try and push somewhere, and I'm guessing top tier is quite antsy to do so. But we'll have to see what they're going to do. I think the most important thing to watch right now, James, is probably the south side of the map. What do you think? With Exits and Muriel? Because Muriel's going back to the same position he was in last.
Yeah, the thing is here is Eclipse know they don't have to make the play. Even though they're down 3,000 HP, they're defending. They have the crossfires, and they know that there isn't really anything that top tier can do to get an easy pick without bleeding a lot of damage. And so I think at this point, Eclipse are just ready to hold, and it's going to be up to top tier to try to make some sort of risky play.
Shot from Muriel into Germ. Second one in. He's got another. Can he finish off Germ? One more should do it.
He's holding it.
One more. He's not quite spotted. There, he's spotted finally by Exits. Lines it up. Nicely played. All right, being just kind of systematically torn apart, and then Muriel takes just one shell as he tries to exit that side of the map. Exo doing what he could. Not quite enough in this case. And 3 tanks against a total of 5. What do you think, James? Does Eclipse have any options here? Are they going to be able to hold on this defense, or do you think top tier's going to take it?
Now that Germ's gone and Muriel was able to find the shots on him, you need real patient. That just opened up a lot of options because now all these heavy tanks can really move together, and Muriel can actually flex up to the north and be the one that goes open the opposite side. The position that's hardest to attack right now is T1 Diabetic. He's in the middle. He has guns on both sides to support him, and he has the high ground. The way that top tier are going to have to go about this is they have to get to the far flanks, the outsides, whether it's the A line or the K line. Now, we already saw Muriel go down to south and work that K line. And he got the pick there. Now, he can either play north or he can do another thing, which I didn't initially see, which is get the cap pressure, no, obviously. So, sits on cap, and now these tanks for top tier are in a great position to screen. You have the I-7 of exits in the south. He'll spot anything coming in that way. These two in the middle, they're not going to take that brawl. And then the 5A all the way in the north. They can all support each other except for exits. But I don't think they're going to take the time to go all the way down to exits because it's going to take a lot of time. They don't have that. They only have a minute on cap right now.
Yep. And all they have to do is just keep Eclipse away for a little while. Now, Exo, he's taken a lot of damage. He's about 406, so I think every tank on the battlefield should be able to one-shot him. Batchet might low roll, you know?
Yeah, pending the low rolls, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
even that 7 would have to be an insane low roll to not kill him. Or the 5A, they both have those 490 alpha guns.
Exactly. So chances are Exo should go down if he takes one shell, but there's a chance that he can shrug one more off before he goes down. And that could be the difference between stopping the cap here. But he's not even going to be close enough. No-Nick isn't all that close either, and it's going to take him all the next 30 seconds just to get a shot onto Muriel. So I'm wondering...
I'm pretty sure
What are you thinking?
T1's disconnected right now.
No way. T1 can't be disconnected.
He'd be firing. I think he's disconnected, so he's not even in the fight right now. So No-Nick and Exo have to make the play, even though T1 Diabetic has most of the HP.
Oh, it took... Wow. What happened? T1 was talking about having connection issues. That sucks. Well, there goes Exo. And now only T1 remains.
And that is going to make it 2-0 in favor of top tier.
What? Okay. I'll take that.
Okay,
All
top
right.
tier, we see you.
All right, 12%. 12%.
Second place team in the league, and they're starting off 2-0. That's a pretty strong performance.
Yeah. And Rude's telling us that they're playing at 12%.
Now,
Come on.
T1 Diabetic. Let's find out. Was he disconnected?
Did he?
I cannot tell right now.
I'm gonna look. I'll check the chat in the training. It doesn't look like anything's been said.
He had a real life fire drill.
Oh my goodness, that sucks.
All the college students out there know exactly what that's like.
Well, tell me about it. I actually didn't attend a college where we had fire drills.
Oh, no, dorm fire drills are awful, especially when it's snowing in a blizzard outside and you live on the 8th story of your dorm and the power's out and you have to go all the way down 8 flights of stairs and walk outside in the middle of the night. Not fun.
So that's T1 right now, except it's kind of okay outside.
Well, yeah, it's still summer, so he doesn't have to deal with the blizzard part, but been there, done that. Now they are going to sub out T1 Diabetic for the next round at least. Looking at the damage here, Muriel had a very poor first game just because he got focused out by T1 Diabetic, but this game putting up some insane damage numbers, getting 3 kills. We'll get to that in a second. And overall, just good. I like what top tier did. Now, it was a little bit risky, but Muriel in that bat chat putting up almost 5,000 damage and 3 kills. 126 fantasy points. You know, he was the key there for top tier. Without him, without that bat chat to get to the sides, top tier don't win this game.
Yeah, exactly. And I think if top tier can keep this momentum up, they'll be looking pretty solid. Because 2 wins in a row in Proc, I think we know the reason why. I mean, a fire drill is going to throw you guys off a little bit. But they should be able to recover. T1 is a valued member of that team, but they're still a strong enough team that they can figure things out if he's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They have their bench players here ready to step up. You have players like Letif just sitting on standby, or even Dark God Zim hasn't been playing tonight. They're both very capable players. And then on the second page here, nothing too surprising. Smiley Rage getting focused out, but he was that initial light tank, and he really opened up the map there for Eclipse. They were able to isolate those 2 tanks, get the lights, and really punish them off that. And if I pull up the stats right here, pretty sure what we'll find out is Smiley Rage spotted 3 vehicles and 1,400 assistants. So he was the one that identified that split there for top tier that they were able to exploit. And that was, like I said, the key, like one of the main keys to that round going in favor of top tier.
Yep. So now we're moving on to Murovanka. And on Murovanka, we're going to be seeing, it looks like, Eclipse defending first. So they'll get a second to slow things down. Hopefully T1 can come back, and then they can just put them right back in the roster. Continue on with side number 2 on Muro. This is a map that I do believe can be slowed down quite well. And that's going to be the goal that I think Eclipse should or is wanting to go for right now. And top tier is going to want to play this map very, very quickly. They understand that time is on their side in this sense. And as we jump straight into the map, take a little tour around it, you see that southern cap we just emerged from. The middle of the map being probably the trickiest part to play.
It's a very weird combination of houses and bushes that make it very hard to, 1, navigate, but 2, also find your opponents in, because sometimes they can just be hiding in one bush, and until you get to that prox range, you don't necessarily know that they are there.
Yeah, surprise, your enemy's right there.
Yeah,
which
except
is why
for the mice, which the mice are, you know, the size, arguably larger than some of these buildings, so you kind of know where they are pretty easily.
Surprisingly not, though. Surprisingly not larger than most of them.
Now, I will say one of the things I actually saw recently, the Clan Cup that Wargaming hosted a few weeks ago, in the semifinal match, Greg from Teal Team 6 actually put a mouse in a passive bush in the south to spot the cap, and then hit a T100 behind it. So it took them forever to kill the mouse, and they didn't know the mouse was there because they never spotted him. So they're blind firing it. They're bouncing shots. They know there's a tank there, but they can't figure out what it is and why it's not dying. And they eventually got the kill, but it was rather hilarious to watch. Anyways, we get back to our match at hand. Top tier 2i7s, 5A, 2 back chats, a Patton, and a 140. Eclipse, a 113, 3 5As, and 3 bat chats. Ledev stepping in place of T1 Diabetic. Only deals with that fire drill.
Oh, man. So, as we see these lineups, our attacker is going to have that Patton. Does that Patton give anything away as far as what you think we're going to see here?
The Patton has that 420 base view range, and on this type of map, it is very, very crucial, especially as the attacker trying to get in there early and spot those tanks. And with the recent buffs, the added turret armor, it is a viable ridge working tank. So I would expect most likely towards the 3 cap, which is where we're going to see him. Including over at B1 is actually where it looks like he's going to go, and that would be a very strong position for him just because the view range, the turret armor, he can really lock down that 2 line, even if it is just by himself.
Yep, there we go. First spot's coming out. Looks like the M48 is spotted on his way over to Bravo 1. So we're going to see a bit of a west side push as Exo scouts out. Looks like Positive's moving up. He's also spotted. Although the heavies from Eclipse, note this, they have not been seen yet. Although there we go. Opening fire, Hako. Looks like some kind of a stack out of top tier to get early damage. But that's 2 against 4, and it's a bait.
All right, and as this happens, let's go ahead and listen to top tier to see how they deal with this aggression from the defenders.
Repair kit? No Nick has no repair kit?
My repair kit.
I have 1 shell left. Clipping.
Have the best clip.
Alright, Bats, are you?
No, I have to
Exo fired 4, I think.
Shit.
It's probably 140.
No, 140 was here.
140's there? Okay.
We can't kill the side.
Go back.
Can someone just
go back?
Just let one of the bats need to kill him. One of the bats needs to. Or he's poking. He's coming forward.
Poking.
Okay, they're coming 2 line. They're coming 2 line. They're coming 2 line. I'm starting to run positive. They're going to push you, or they're going to push that.
just push him, push him.
Yeah, push into the 4 line and kill OG Hako and get safe. They come.
Yeah,
They're here. You have to go in. I didn't get the shot.
I can't hit Hako.
I got him.
I'm gonna get one more shot.
I'm not aiming mural.
Oh,
I don't really have a shot though.
Kill Rid, kill Rid.
Okay, it's only 4 tanks left. Our bats are full health. Photo's going to die. They're going to have to push
Where
forward.
does he go?
Yeah, I know. I gotta get kills, but I don't want to die to the bat.
I'm clipping.
Smiley's poking up on the high ridge. He's looking for Exo. He's out 1.
I have
Can you hit
30.
Exo?
I have 30 on my clip. I'm gonna run so they don't kill me.
I don't know how many Smiley shot out except 1.
Just one here, 4.
Very
Don't
north
waste
side.
your shot.
I'm gonna try to
Yeah, hold on.
hold like here when I get my clip.
Can anyone get up? No.
I still have 10.
It's my last 2 shots.
I have 8 seconds.
I'm on reload. I'm just dead. There's 1 bat.
If we had... And they should be able to pick up the kill onto Ledev here, leaving Exo the only one left alive. Top tier's aggression there, countering out the aggression from Eclipse, who were the defenders. Overall, good stuff there, and they should be able to pick up the kill here onto Exo in just a second.
Yeah, I really love that bait, actually. So we should probably break down exactly what happened there. And we'll need, this will be one where we're going to lean on our replay here in our post game. So what you just saw was something that I can't say that I've seen exactly that strat. It's not something that is in everyone's playbook, but it's a very straightforward concept, which is to actually bait and pull your opponent in. And James, did you see? You saw the same thing.
Yeah, the
okay.
IS-7s pushing them straight up there. So, hey, look, 2 IS-7s.
Yep.
Nothing else with them, guys. Come and get them. Free dinner. And they took it. They just went right for it.
Yeah.
And they were in a position to really collapse on them. And part of the reason that works so well, though, is how Eclipse set up with that raw aggression.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and review a little bit of that in-game. So early, you saw just this, a little scouting out from our bat chats, and then our heavies taking a very hidden route from Eclipse. Little did they know that what was waiting for them was, well, north and south, just a crossfire setup for Eclipse to just walk into. And that's exactly what they did. Now, to Eclipse's credit, what they did is they actually very exceptionally dealt with being caught in a crossfire by putting themselves into one set of cover so that they're engaging only against one of the 2 different angles against them. Because they did that, they reduced some of the damage that they were taking. However, top tier, you noticed, they saw, okay, we no longer have the angles we want, let's push. And they decided in a very quick fashion to just push forward and keep the pressure going on Eclipse.
And Alcaco having another great game. That IS-7, almost 3k damage, 70 fantasy points. Exo and Ledif and the bat chats doing what they could, but then ultimately ended up losing. Muriel, another 2,300. No kills, 53 fantasy points. Exits, a solid 2k damage there, 2 kills, 57. Now, Randall, take a second and look at the scoreline.
Yeah, yep, but it's the 3 on the side of top tier, and that's big goose egg on the side there.
This is going to be the second week in a row where all 3 of me, you, and you got this wrong if this keeps up.
Yeah.
Just completely backwards. None of us had the foresight to see this coming.
Yeah, it's pretty sick, right?
You know, Eclipse, you know, they've looked pretty sharp, but so far today, just dropping the ball, and it doesn't help having T1 Diabetic just...
disconnect and be gone.
Yeah,
exactly. He's still not back, by the way. I'm going to check the chat.
Yeah, no, he's still down.
He is still not here. T1 is still not here. So we're going to have to wait and see. Is T1 going to be able to return tonight, or will it be too little too late? Because, well, there's only 2 more wins left for top tier, and this is over, James.
Yeah, a 5-0 would be even more of a statement from top tier. That's not something any of us would have seen at all.
Yeah. This has already blown my prediction out of the water. So at this point, we're all in this together. We're all learning here.
I could still be right if we see a reverse 5-0 sweep.
Yeah, chances are pretty slim of that. That's not usually how it goes.
Slim.
Not with the way this has been going. Let's look at the lineups, though, and tell me if there's anything here for Eclipse.
No, very similar lineup at a top tier. I7, 5As, Batchats, Patton, T100. Meanwhile, Eclipse, a 215B, an IS-7, 4 bats, and a Object 140. So 215B, DPM, great range tank, and especially when there aren't any mice on the other team, this is a great heavy tank to bring. The mouse kind of counters out a lot of the DPM, and it has a PCR shell, so it doesn't do as strong versus that. However, versus soft heavy tanks like the 5A or Batchats, the 215B is a great choice.
Yeah, I just like the way it moves, man. It just moves just fast enough. It's just nimble enough. It shoots just quickly enough. It's like if a medium tank actually just started taking steroids. Like, it just gets a little bit better and bigger at everything.
Oh, and it's actually been rumored that the 215B is going to get the Foch B treatment here pretty soon for the Super Conquer next patch.
Really?
Not officially 100% confirmed, but it looks like that's the way it's going.
There are whispers. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
And Photo Finish playing this tank is just dangerous. He's got the rammer, he's got a V-stab, and he's got vents.
Top tier are 3-0 up right now. They are in defense. Let's go ahead and listen in to what they have to say as they try to make it 4-0.
Just play. Talk, see what you see.
Be careful, don't get lit by Germ. I really feel like...
Base 2 cap.
So.
I'm 2 cap without being
Base 2
spotted.
cap.
Not lit.
It should be on the north side right here.
All right, ready? But here's what we're gonna do. M48, Batchat, this Batchat, we all get a yellow the size 7. Okay? Ready? Yeah, get ready. Exit, can you leave?
You're gonna take a hit probably.
Yeah, the
All right,
pattern
let's go.
Okay, no, I'm good.
I7's poking up.
we're just
They're
gonna
probably
Fine,
they're probably
go,
all
go,
set up
go.
right here
Do not
though,
move-
Rude.
Do not move until forever, okay? That 215 is completely out of the fight.
I7 just fired. There's Batchat right there, right there.
Oh, sorry, my.
He's clipping me out. He fired 3. It's no Nick.
Be careful of
I'm
the.
gonna
Get
get
that
some
back. Drop cap. Yep.
There they are.
Rock's one shot.
The bats on cap were fired several times.
They ran.
Drock is 50.
I can
I
get
got
drop
Drock.
in 2 seconds.
Okay.
Never mind.
Okay, I missed. No, someone.
Somebody needs to get dropped. I got
don't have a shot on
dropped.
anymore.
1 second. Nope, I
Hello?
didn't drop. Yep. Watch out, there's a 140 there. Everybody, push away towards the 140 and the 215B. Get good position.
Yeah,
Get
their
good
3
position.
bats are in the...
Get safe. Get
Wait, 9.
safe.
Yeah.
Shit.
Do you want me to go like around here? I can play that ridge against the 215.
Play whichever
and the
ridge
140.
where you can do some
Can you
damage.
guys get safe? I can sit up to spot the cap again.
I'm dead.
Damage, just do damage, just don't die.
Yeah, like we
He's moving up
can't,
pretty
we're not a
aggressively.
pick.
Can we
Like,
get
they
rude?
can't
Can we
kill
get
us.
rude from a little further south?
Lop
I'm
is
going
up.
here, I'm going here.
Patton's trying to poke up.
There's a Batchat in E1 as well.
If someone should go here.
Yeah, there you
One bat should go there. North.
Where's
And then
that?
8.
I'm kind of in deep. I'm just
They're
gonna
very
punish
stuck there.
Lop. Can we
Just keep
push
getting damage. Just keep
Lop's dead.
getting damage and let
I'm
clipping,
I'm clipping.
I can't see.
Positive,
They're pushing,
wait,
they're pushing me IXO, they're pushing me
Yeah,
IXO.
they're pushing.
I think the heavies are
Let me
coming
see
as well.
They can't kill us.
Yeah, they don't have
Just
much
let
there
us
to push.
Bats go here. One of the bats go
He's really
north.
fucking low.
Yeah, I'm going,
You're
but
up.
I'm clipping.
The guns are
Positive,
even and they have a
I
lot of
two
low guns.
shells. Positive, I'm following you, but only 2 shells.
Just bats, make sure you make your clips count. That's what matters. Exo, help him with kill Jojo.
Hey, Exo, I'm gonna come around low and just try to kill one of these tanks here. I can't kill Jojo unless I high roll though.
What
Okay,
is-
Jojo's 2 shots.
Hit him once and
Hey, or is he dying?
I'll remember.
Okay,
Missed a shot.
Rude is next if he can.
Needs to stay
Yeah, keep positive alive.
positive.
Bats are still the priority if we can, but just shoot whatever you can shoot.
Okay, reload.
Bats, try to save your HP and stay alive.
We're
I'm
safe
clipping
on
again.
like 1-2 line more than we are on 5.
And Eclipse holding on there, managing to counter out the aggression from top tier, just dumping over into that IS-7, really getting some good damage off there and punishing.
However, it was at a cost. It was the lead of hit points that Eclipse had, even though they may not have had tanks on the battlefield at the time. They lost a lot of that hit point lead they were sitting on earlier.
But they gained the positional advantage, and Photo Finish in this 215B was able to crank out a lot of damage. I think top tier kind of underestimating exactly what that 215B could do in that fight.
Especially in the hands of Photo Finish, of all people, he is a monster. And now Lenev, in combination at relatively nice, like, comfy hit points, is going to be able to come on in and 1v1 Smiley, well, with support, it turns out. Takes him down, and now only Muriel in that T100. T100 really doesn't have the damage output or hit points, anything to clutch a match like this.
Not
And
always boxed in on the one line like this anyways.
it's good to run. He can, I mean, with 5 minutes left, the chances are he's not going to be able to delay this match or hold as a defender, but he can make an effort of it, and I think that'll say a lot about him. Muriel's not a bad tanker.
Muriel's already on 2,300 damage, which is not bad for a little fight, for a little T100.
Nice shot. He has actually tracks no neck, but he gets tracked himself. And so he's behind a tiny little hill, has to come out of that cover in order to get 1 shell.
Nice there. He actually has him down to a 1-shot.
Doesn't have the reload. Doesn't have the reload. He shouldn't be able to get a shot off.
Oh, he does though.
Nah.
And now it's
no,
going to
no.
be up, and the Ram's going to come in here. And the shot. Ledif closes it out and puts up the first point for Eclipse.
Took him long enough.
Top tier really asking some questions of Eclipse. 3 wins and a very, very, very close Murovanka game that Elevate Eclipse ended up pulling out there. And Photo Finish, my lord, man.
What'd he do? What did he do?
4,100.
Okay, not bad. I mean, it's also not that surprising a Photo Finish. He's kind of
Like I said, that 215B in that position, when you're not shooting at mice, the APCR is plenty capable versus everything else.
Yeah.
And overall, just a very, very strong showing by him. Ledif also picking up 4 kills. You know, he hasn't started for Eclipse this season, able to just jump in there and put up some very good numbers.
Yeah, although I do think I have to say this about the battle. When we were listening on comms for top tier, it didn't sound like top tier was as confident here as they were on other maps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It definitely sounded like top tier was kind of making it up. Because when we listened in, Rude was just kind of instructing the team. And it seemed a little odd. I don't know what... Maybe I should hold off from speculating too much, but it didn't sound like the same top tier that was winning twice on proc.
Yep, and Photo Finish doing 4,100 damage, 1 kill, almost 120 fantasy points. No Nick, no skill. 3,300, 2 kills, 71 fantasy points. Muriel in that T100. Almost 3k damage, 2 kills in that T100 light tank and getting 86 fantasy points. Not bad there. What if? Also, like I said, 4 kills. That's nothing to scoff at on top of the 2k damage. Smiley Ridge, new addition to top tier. Also doing 2k, nothing too surprising there. Akako not quite able to have the same effect this game as he has on the previous 2 maps. Now, we are moving on to Ruinberg next, and before we get to that second page here, nothing too surprising. That's
Meh.
pretty much everything that we expected there.
Yep. Although it does look like announcement T1 is back. Letif is down, T1 is up, so that means we had the T1, an important player on the team of Eclipse, has to leave within the second battle, I'm correct, right? Second battle of Prokhorovka. He's out for the entire map of Murovanka, and now he is back for Ruinberg.
And it's 3-1. This is still savable, but they have to do something that is very difficult to do, especially versus top tier, which is win on Ruinberg attack. That is not going to be an easy thing for them to do. Now, we'll get to what I think Rude will do here in a second as we get into the lineups. 250Bs, an IS-7, 35As, and 2 Batchats.
2 5As.
South flanks is my guess there on defense. What heavy zero-line control, leave 1 tank passive in the north by the IS-7, do something along those lines.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. And
Yeah,
then
50Bs to watch the cross.
Eclipse with 4 IS-7s, then 2 Batchats, and then the Foch B.
Maybe we'll see a evolution of the 07 up the middle strat with those IS-7s, have a little bit more armor, a little bit more survivability.
Seems crazy. Seems a little bit bold. But if they go for it, I mean, dude, that's like your opinion, man.
And Eclipse right now, all on that train, straight up the middle in the IS-7s, Batchats in the south.
Then they're lit. JoJo went for a mid scout. He knew it was up. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks
Nick
lit.
getting a couple bounces there, hugging right. Actually not taking any damage as they leave the middle road so far. Akako even missing.
50Bs have already spent their first clip and no damage has been done. So in a way, top tier kind of messed up a bit because now their 50Bs are on reload, right when the IS-7s could be taking probably some of the most damage.
And moving snapshots onto JoJo Jackie on the Batchat on the 0 line.
JoJo
Great
hates
stuff
himself.
there. And these heavies are just going to push into the town. They're going to focus out the 0 line.
Yeah, but guess what? Nicely timed. Batchat's moving in just in time for the for top tier's Batchats to get distracted by the IS-7s moving in. And because of that, Muriel is down. Nicely played right there. And now JoJo is left completely alone while the IS-7s begin their engagement in the main town.
And Photo Finish does take down Rude Awakening, and now these Batchats need to find a way to take out Lovetev.
This is done. This is already decided. The Foch B is on the 1 cap up north, and he's already pressuring that. In the meantime, everyone from Eclipse is splitting the top tier positions, and the top tier positions don't have proper crossfires, setups, anything. This is done. Eclipse just has to pretty much decide to go forward, and they should win.
And
I mean,
Akako,
they can kill themselves on the 50Bs. I'm sorry. Go on.
Akako's just being kept out of the fight right now by this Foch B. He knows that he can't leave because the Foch B just has a clean shot on his backside. And now he's going to figure out that he is reloading and just drive away, but he's kept that I-7 out of the fight for majority of the game, and now Drock is just going to ignore him and just drive straight at him across this field.
Because it's over. Eclipse already knows what's going on. They have such positional superiority right now that they're ultimately top tier just wanted to play this game with them. Like this is a serious turnaround from what we've seen in the past few battles.
I love it out of Eclipse. Raw aggression, calculated, minimal damage from the 50Bs, arguably a little bit of luck there. 50Bs weren't quite ready for it. And the I-7s worked that ridge perfectly, and I said at the beginning of the game I felt like top tier were going to set up for that 0 line sort of flex play, and sure enough they did, and the Eclipse were able to counter it out perfectly.
Well, there you go. Another win. Okay. Okay.
And now we are 2 rounds into that 5-round comeback that you said wasn't possible.
It shouldn't be possible, is what I said. To ultimately clarify and possibly cover up a little bit for what I said in the past, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen. If you're top tier and you've gone up that much, you just need almost there. Maybe all it was in the end of the day is that T1 DC'd, and it was a big enough impact on the team that they fell short for a few battles. Maybe battle 1 was just kind of a thing, you know? Just reflecting upon what we're seeing now and noticing what maybe we had underplayed a little bit or neglected to notice. We did not make a big point of the fact that we thought T1 was gone. We didn't think the team would really suffer for it. They might have.
I mean, they had already started off a round down when T1 had to leave, and they were in a bad position in the second game.
But we've seen it elevate. We've seen every team lose battle number 1. So battle number 1, sometimes it just goes that way. But if it becomes a trend like it did with top tier, what I noticed is that T1 was gone battle 2, and from then on, it looked really bad. And then once T1 got back, which I assume was in the middle of battle number 2 Murovanka, he probably helped his team out a bit. Yeah. And that's why I think this might have turned around, is I think that there might be a reason to think T1...
Now look at the damage here. Look at the damage from these IS-7s. There's no real massive outlier. No one breaking 3K, but all of them very consistent, which to me says great focus fire. Okay. But you look at it, 3 IS-7s, 2,700, 2,500, 2,400, and the EXO down there, 1,700. So and look at how many kills they got. 5 kills between those 4 IS-7s. So they focus fire. They took down their tanks very quickly, effectively. Overall, great play.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. It's nice to see that kind of a spread of damage. Now, on page 2, that Foch B, 1,233. What do you think?
Damage wasn't important there. What was important was keeping Kako out of the fight. 1 for 1. Keep it so you have the advantage on the other side of the map. And that worked perfectly for Eclipse. That Foch B came up behind. Kako knew that he couldn't really leave. Now, a few of the shots that Drock took, I disagree with. They weren't the greatest quality shots in the back of that IS-7. When he got behind that fountain, he still took some off. I would have rather seen him hold the shots and try to keep him pinned there for a little bit longer, but the second he fired him, Kako counted and knew he could leave. Overall, though, the effect of the tank there kept Kako out of the fight for long enough that I think it was worth the position that he was in.
Fair enough. All right, now we're getting into the second battle of Ruinberg. This is battle number 6. And we shall see what's going to happen here. Opening moves on a defender's side. Eclipse is going to head down to that little village, and it looks like that's top tier going with the south play. There's a mid mouse there. You see that guy?
Lineup's coming in here real quick. Top tier mouse, 2 113s, 5A, 3 bat chats. Meanwhile, Eclipse, mouse, 4 5As, 50B, and a bat chat.
And there we go. Muriel, Smiley, exits, all spotted on their opening move. Nice opening scout from T1. Intelligent position. I like it.
Right now, what I see out of top tier is what you can do, we can do better, as their heavy tanks are just going straight towards this cap, not up the middle road, but they're getting it south. They're taking really aggressive positions. At the same time, the bat shots are working that 0 line.
I don't know, though.
It's the same sort of setup in principle.
Not exactly, in a way. The notable differences, I'll point them out. Eclipse went straight up the middle road. That's what we call the F line. And they just booked it straight to cap. On this side, top tier went for a safer, longer route in order to get into this position. And that allows Eclipse to get into better defensive positions ultimately. And because of that, I think Eclipse was actually able to set up quite nicely. And they should, as opposed to top tier's defense, Eclipse should be able to hold on to this. It depends, of course, on the little decisions they make for the next few minutes, but you get my point, James.
Yep, and the mouse holding the middle road there for top tier, so he's going to have shots into the side of that Delta village. Batchat, the only tank out of the fight for Eclipse, up in the north.
Yeah, that Batchat, what is he going to go off and do? T1. So if it's T1, there's a little mission he's on. And what is he planning? Because there's a Batchat Smiley in the backfield. While this damage is being dealt, by the way. How's that going? It looks like a little in the favor of top tier for now.
Some trades. Heavy tanks for Eclipse, bleeding a lot of HP, but so are top tier, to be fair. Now Photo is going to come around, find a shot on Jojo Jack.
And look at this. There's actually a trap being set up. T1's going for Lop in the mouse, but he does not know that there's a Batchat Smiley right behind him. T1 misses his first shot, takes 2, has to dip into corner, takes a third shell from Lob, and now he's pinned in a way. Now there's cover fire moving in, but T1 is having trouble finding the connections he needs, and he needs those quite badly, although he's out of shells. So now T1's going to go down. He's going to die once Lob gets a reload. And it's not good for him. It's not good at all.
Muriel picks up the kill onto Germ, and Lup does finally pick up T1 Diabetic. And now Photo Finish is actually just going to push straight down the 0 line late here to try to secure the 0 line for Eclipse.
Okay, that's the thing. There it is, James. I don't know, man. I really thought Eclipse had this. They really should have had this. They had every reason to hold this defense. They squandered it in a way. Sorry, I have to admit, I'm surprised.
I full-heartedly agree. I mean, the defense here for Eclipse looked decent enough. However, top tier, like I said, they came ready to fight. They understood what they wanted to do. They set up very similar to how Eclipse did. They got the focus fire down there. Now, there weren't any tanks that pushed down that 0 line initially, so they didn't have to worry about that. They were able to trade with those tanks in the Delta Village quite effectively.
Yeah, the mouse, I think, was what was enabling that for a while, correct?
Drock between Lup holding the middle road, Loptev, and the Batchats down there, and the heavy tanks lighting, they really were able to bleed them. And Drock ended up going down as one of the first tanks for his team, which that's 3,000 HP in a mouse. You're depending on holding that lane, so seeing him go down that quickly is definitely a bit unfortunate.
That certainly is. Now, Muriel and Exits moved in from top tier, and that dangerous move right there. Muriel has 2 left, no Nick on reload. At the same time, it does look like top tier's going to be able to finish this one out. Nicely played there. No Nick is down. Now Positive is the only tank that remains. And I think this has to do a lot with Eclipse just making those little mistakes. Sending T1 around to flank, and unfortunately he deals 0 damage to a mouse. Otherwise that would have been a kill. That would have been an entire section of the map opened up. But because of those little mistakes, those little tiny variances, Eclipse really appeared to drop the ball in some areas. Although I know you saw a different side of that story as well.
Yeah, well, I just the overall bleed from top tier was excellent, and just their positioning. The heavy tanks getting up against the Delta Village to light, and then the Batchats, because nothing pushed down that 0 line, the Batchats were able to sit back there in the bushes where they had clean shots unspotted, and there was nothing Eclipse could do to trade about it. So they really just needed to back off and try to save as much HP as they could. But at the end of the day, it just really didn't matter. Because look at this. You have T1 Diabetic there, but he ended up backing out after the initial push. And if you look at the position right now, the Batchat's unopposed. They can sit there and bleed the heavies. And then T1 Diabetic here pushes into the middle ridge, and he gets isolated. And from that point on, it's just tanks left in that Delta Village where there's multiple angles from the attacker. And they use those different angles between the middle road and the 0 line to really chip away and negate every angle that Eclipse had in their favor.
Yeah, and apparently Muriel's that MVP with 4K damage in a Batchat, 100% accuracy.
Well, and then look at Exits right below him, 3,300, 2 kills. So both of them, the Batchats on that 0 line, really able to get off multiple clips very effectively. Positive doing what he could, putting up 4K in that 5A. 70 fantasy points just about, not bad. Same with No Nick, No Skill, and EXO. They put up good damage. They traded well, but ultimately they just bled the HP too much, and this game ended too fast for the defenders. They really needed to slow it down, burn some more clock, keep some tanks alive to really hold on there as the defense.
Yeah, and then looking down at the bottom, T1. This is what I was harping on. I apologize, T1, if you're going to be listening to this one later, but that play really didn't work, man. That hurt because of how much it didn't work.
Yeah, and Drock even in that mouse. Like I said, he went down a little bit too fast, only getting off 1 shot of damage, really. He had 12 hits received, 8 pens, 4 non-pens, only 1,600 blocked, which when you have Batchats shooting at you, arguably maybe should be a little bit higher.
Yeah, I would hope, but I mean, benefit of the doubt, it's you're either saying he didn't do a good enough job angling himself, or those bats were that good, and
well,
it's a little bit of both.
With 1,600 block, the way you kind of have to look at it is that mouse essentially had 4,600 damage instead of 4,600 HP instead of 3,000 HP because of all the extra shots blocked. That's the extra HP that armor gave him. Overall, though, it wasn't really enough at the end of the day, and he ended up going down. Now, as we move on to the next battle, on to Ghost Town, top tier, 250Bs, 2 mice, 2 5As, and a Batchat. Eclipse, 50B, a T57, a Type 5, 2 5As, a Batchat, and Positive playing the Leopard 1.
Leopard 1 coming out. Let's go take a peek at our Leopard 1. There's your Leopard 1. All right.
My baby.
Sweet. Why? Wait. I thought it was.
I love the leopard.
It's your favorite? I thought it
One
was
of my favorite tanks.
I didn't know it was your favorite.
Dia 7 probably takes the crown as my favorite tank overall, but I have a lot of games in my leopard. Half of them quite poorly, but overall, I do love the tank.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, wait, you're a heavy player. Why do you love the leopard?
The leopard was actually my second tier 10 that I ever got. And
Aww.
when I was still quite new to the game and making a lot of mistakes, and did not always play it the greatest, but it looks so beautiful though. Look at this tank. It just looks like a tank should. It's so mobile.
It kind of has become an iconic tank shape, actually. So it is.
And using the mobility of that leopard to get up into that A1 climb, and she should be able to get some resets on the north. Little do they know though that top tier are setting up for a south play.
Here we go. Lop, Hako, followed up by Jojo Jackie, are heading on to that 2 cap, and boom, goes 353 damage. All right, onto Lop. Crossfire, nicely placed by Nonik. And they'll just hug right into this corner. Well, maybe not. Maybe not hug into the corner. They'll actually aggress a little bit, try and pressure out photo finish, take some ground.
And they're actually just going to go for the overmatch onto photo finish. They have the 50Bs in behind, and they should be able to find them. However, there's going to be good support fire here from Eclipse, so they really have to capitalize on photo going down. As Smiley Rage picks up the kill, No Nick does trade it out and takes down Smiley. But now look at the positions the top tier have claimed.
Yeah, top tiers put themselves right in the middle of Eclipse's positions. And because of that, I'm going to be worried. If they cannot keep this momentum up, they can't keep dealing damage, they're just going to be walking through a gauntlet, taking shot after shot after shot. And if they can't stop that, the top tier will be throwing this battle away. If they can keep it up, if they can get a tank, if they can catch somebody out, there's opportunity. But
well, in Muriel right now, he's going to get him behind, and he should find Germ in this 5A. He should take him down. Now, Germ, or Drock, anyways, the 57 does take down Rude Awakening, but Exits finally takes down Germ, and now all of a sudden, top tier are 2,000 HP up, and they're about to walk away with a win. Jojo is on fire. Drock picks him up. Now, Drock is a one-shot himself as he goes down to Exits. Now, Eclipse aren't out of this. It is a 4-on-3, but the HP is slightly in favor of top tier, a little bit less so now.
But guns are an important factor as well. No Nick is loaded in a 50B. As long as his gun's alive, he can still deal damage, although he'll fail to do so, oddly enough.
2 mice, so it's going to be pretty hard to kill. However, Positive's going to opt to get into the fight over on the 1 line, try to find some extra shots on the mouse. Another thing that this Leopard does bring is it has those heat shells, so it should be able to deal with these mice turrets very easily, and with the accurate gun that it has, it shouldn't miss even at pretty long range.
Nice shot. Exo puts 1 into Lop. No shots returned for any damage, and here comes Muriel right behind him. Just in time.
Positive's going to put a shot into him, so is Exo, but now he has the clip. He has about 5 more seconds to pump out his clip. Looks like a teammate got another shot there into Exo.
He needs 1 good one more.
But Muriel's going to back off before Positive reloads in that Leopard.
Is he?
No, he's not actually.
Just barely. Just barely not enough. And he's going to go down. So nice play by Eclipse. Only 2 left alive. These 2 mice need to stay alive, but I don't know if they can. Nice shot. No Nick gets a kill. Hako, that big slow mouse, does not have the angle he needs, and No Nick's going to escape. It's 4-on-1. This is over. Mouse can't beat this. Not with Leopards against 5As and Bat Chats. It's a matter of time. And by the way, just to remind you, James, that mouse is on the tank. It's a beautiful, it was a fun play. Really fun play to watch from top tier, but ultimately top tier walked into probably the least ideal situation that could hope for. Style points. T1 gets the kill. He Goombas him. T1 Goombas a mouse. Thank you, T1.
Not bad.
Thank you.
Not bad, making up for having to leave earlier, and that's going to be Eclipse putting another point up, and now all of a sudden, we are 1 round away from this going to overtime.
Yeah, okay. This got interesting. Really interesting.
No skill. Oh.
Huh? What'd he do? 5K? No, okay. When you guys, production's gonna have the graphic up for just a second. We're peeking at the post game in game. We just saw 5K damage on it. 50B. No Nick, completely destroying that last battle. That is amazing. 5K is
such good damage.
He's almost out of ammo, isn't he?
Let's see how
he's
many shots
getting
he
low,
fired.
isn't he?
He fired 20 shots in total.
And 50B, do you remember how much it
It's
carries?
about 50. It's a good bit.
Okay.
So not quite there yet.
I seem to remember running out of ammo in 50Bs.
No, Batchat's not 50Bs.
No, 50Bs. 50Bs. I could be mistaken.
But overall, it was great focus fire early on from top tier onto photo finish. They took him out quickly. Well, they did. That ripped my fantasy points. However, I digress. And maybe part of it, what top tier expected, was that they were hoping that Eclipse wouldn't think that they'd have the audacity to just go for a middle push.
Audacity?
Yeah, see what that goes for that Goomba.
Yeah.
And looking at the damage.
Keeper. That's a keeper.
No Nick, no skill, has had a quiet start of the season, but coming up there, 5k damage, 2 kills, 120 fantasy points, 90% accuracy. Akako doing what he could for top tier, 4k damage, 1 kill, 76 fantasy points of his own. EXO also 3,500, solid game there. Exits in the 50B, not quite the same sort of round that No Nick, no skill had there. 2,600, 2 kills, 73 fantasy points. And positive in that Leopard, 2k, respectable, 1 kill. Not great, but good enough for the position he was in.
Yeah. And then as we head over to page 2, we get to see where it falls off. Smiley got smoked early on. And Photo was the main focus in the first fight, and he even got 683.
He got the one shot off on the mice they were initially pushed in.
He got 2 shells off.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the first one was like 300 something, so that's the only reason I know, is I remember that 300 something roll.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising for him to get a 600 roll.
Yeah, well, in that type 5 with
exactly.
the gold shells up to 1,400 if it pens, which only has, I believe, 75 penetration though, so not likely versus heavy.
It doesn't matter. It always deals damage.
HE does always do damage. And lineups going in here, 250Bs, 3 mice, a 5A, and a Batchat. Eclipse, an I7, 3 mice, a T57, and 2 5As. So Eclipse opting to bring no medium tanks, no eyes, no flexibility. Now they are the attacking team though, so that could work for their favor if they just go for a battering ram type strat.
Fixed strategy, right?
Yeah.
You already know everything you're planning on doing. You're probably not going to flex around. You're not scouting your opponent out. You're saying, this is what we're going to do.
We're bringing these tanks. We know what we're going to do. We're going to go sit there, and you can try to do something about it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
And then we'll find out whether or not this is going to be a 5-3 victory for top tier, or if we're going to go to a tiebreaker between top tier and Eclipse. Top tier, by the way, guys, a team that has struggled to perform up to this point in the season, has finally put 4 points on the board against Eclipse. Now, if you're an Eclipse fan, you're saying, well, we didn't have T1 for a few battles there. But I'm saying, well, T1 is that important to your team. Maybe you need to rethink a few things, right?
Yeah,
so a few points to think about if you're a fan of either of these teams today.
Yeah, and keep in mind, top tier playing with a new player, Smiley Rage. Now when we listen to the comps, he sounds quiet at home, being very vocal, communicating well with Rude. But remember, he's a new addition to the team. Only had a few scrims with the team to get used to him.
This is true. Now, looking at the positions of Eclipse, looks like they'll be doing a standard split towards the 1 cap, unless I'm mistaken. I don't see anything outside of that general strategy.
The problem is Smiley Rage in that Batchat for top tier, if he keeps wandering a little bit, he could get in behind into the 0 line behind all these heavy tanks and start opening up shots, and there isn't anyone that Eclipse has that could respawn. They don't have any 50Bs even. The 5As might be able to chase them down, but it looks like they're committing up to the north right now, so there really won't be anything they can do about that Batchat if he gets in behind.
That's absolutely probably one of the most important points to hold on to for later. He can either be the greatest thing for top tier in the world right now, or he's going to ruin.
Be out of the fight, do very little damage, not get any resets, and just be a waste of a tank.
Yeah, something like that. But he is on the move. He is starting to... Yeah, he's actually on a vector that'll actually go behind the lines. But it might be a little behind the optimal time. You want to get in there just at the right time when Eclipse is planning to push, about to push, and just starting in maybe one of them. So that what happens is it really trips up the entire idea.
And here comes the push from top tier. They're going up in a crossover in the middle. Germ is the bait. He's trying to back up into the guns, and these mice are trying to pull forward and get what shots they can, and they're going to hard commit onto Germ right now.
Yeah, Kako barely staying alive. Now he finally goes down to Photo. Good crossfire coming in positive. Is the focus. He is on reload. And there we go. Nice focus onto him, Jojo, and Lop onto Germ, and it looks like pressure on the cap has moved down south so it can join the main fight. Top tier is at 8,000, 7,000 hit points against the 12K of Eclipse. Eclipse is at a more than 5K lead against top tier right now. This should be over. This should be going to a tiebreaker. We'll have to see if Eclipse can keep this one up.
Yep, and these two mice doing what they can, angling, but when there's this many tanks this close, it's really hard to angle your armor as Germ finally does take down Lubtev. Muriel, the last mouse alive in the middle here, is going to be focused out by the mice of Eclipse as Exits does take down the I-7 of Exo. And Eclipse have secured this going to overtime, which is going to be on Himmelsdorf.
Ah, well then. Smiley on the run. Dodges one shell. Can he dodge another?
Now the question is, who had the fastest?
Nice shot. There's
who had the fastest attack? I think that has to go to one of the Ruinberg battles, if I'm not mistaken.
I can check that in just a moment. I'll take a look.
So the fastest attack will pick the tiebreaker, or actually no. Let's see. Yeah, because it's still to pick the side of the tiebreaker map.
The side for tiebreaker map is decided by who has the fastest attack.
Right.
And if I'm looking at the timings, time on attack.
Smiley Ridge, the last tank left alive, taking some damage here on cap, trying to kill T1 Diabetic. T1 just trying to bully him with the mouse, just driving straight at him. Picks up the kill, and that's going to make it a 4-4 series.
Let me check
this one going the distance.
Let me check the timing on this battle, and I will be able to tell you who has the side. Right now, based on the records, it looks... Yeah, it looks like it should be Eclipse for battle number 1, Ruinberg.
They had that attack, like I said, I thought it was Ruinberg's because that was a very fast attack. And Top Tier tried to copy it, but it took a little bit longer with their overall approach.
Yeah, and actually the second fastest win on attack would have been Top Tier for Murovanka. Yeah, for Murovanka. And actually after that, they had the next fastest. So I think, unless I'm mistaken about this battle that's happened right now's timing, which is, sorry guys, I got to check on the...
admin just confirmed it is Eclipse holding the fastest attack, so they will pick the side on Himmelsdorf. 2 minute and 48-second game.
Yep, thought it was that one. Okay. Yeah, this one was maybe 4 minutes and some change, so it doesn't come into play there. And let's take a look again at that last battle, because remember we were talking about Smiley being out of position, or rather just not getting into the right position soon enough. Top Tier did go for an opening attack, but look at where Smiley is right now.
Well, look at the positioning of Positive and Germ. It was very well rehearsed. They pulled back to their different angles and made Top Tier have to pick an angle, pick which one they're going to go for. And that was the bait they wanted. They wanted them to have to commit to this lower area, and the rest of the tanks just collapsed on them. The mice came up behind. And Top Tier really just never were able to get into the fight after that.
And it looks like, I'm going to announce this one right now, it looks like a defense choice by Eclipse.
T1 Diabetic coming in here, 67 fantasy points, 4K damage, not bad. Not quite the 5K that No Nick put up last game, but it's still pretty solid. Photo finish, 3,300, 2 kills, almost 80 fantasy points. Smiley Rage was the top damage dealer for Top Tier, 3,200. 65 fantasy points. Now, the one thing you have to think about is, well, he did do good damage. That was a very heavy brawl. He was HP that was out of the fight for the most part, not being shot at. Where Eclipse didn't really waste any extra tanks like that. They had all tanks that were there in the brawl with a lot of HP and armor. So you kind of have to wonder if that factored into things.
I would agree. I think you're on the right track there, thinking that hit points and armor do have that big of an effect in brawls.
Yeah, especially on a map like Ghost Town.
Yeah.
Some other maps you can kind of get away with it. However, on that, he got good shots off. His positioning wasn't terrible, but he did take a second to get in there once the brawl started. And once again, when you have a whole bunch of mice on the other team, you got to remember how much HP that is they brought. Just those 3 mice alone for Eclipse brought a grand total of 9,000 HP. So, and overall, they just made it work. Now, we do have a timeout from Eclipse right now.
Oh, that gives us actually the perfect time to do this. I'm checking up on your non-broadcast matches. From what I can tell, it looks like Elevate has 5-0'd F7.
No surprise there.
Yep, they Sand River, 2 wins in a row in about, good 4 minutes. Himmelsdorf took them about 5 minutes each, 2 wins there. And then it took about 2 minutes to win on 2 and 15 to win on.
What's the total time on that battle?
On the full series, 20 minutes. About 20 minutes.
I'm pretty sure that breaks the record for Elevate, where it was Apex versus High. And that was a 24-minute series in Season 1. So I'm pretty sure that one just may have beaten that. So maybe a crown that F7 don't want to have.
That's a note. That is certainly a note. That's a good point. I forgot about that. Fastest win ever? I don't know. I'll have to check. It's been a while since we had the fastest win ever. That's
so that was a pretty decisive series, and it looks like Teal Team 6 versus Dare is 3-0 in favor of Dare, if I'm reading that right.
Yep, it looks like 2 wins on Prok and a win on Himmelsdorf for Dare against Teal Team 6. We'll see if we get an update later that gives us any more insight. But wow, there you go for that.
Now,
and go ahead and walk us through, James, the tiebreaker map we're about to go on to.
It is going to be Himmelsdorf. Now, this is a map that historically Eclipse have been a little bit weak on. However, Germ, this was one of the maps that Elevate and Apex played a lot, so he has some experience with it. He's sat next to Wallhacks all last year, and so he's seen how Elevate ran things last year, and this was one of their most dominant maps, including at the grand finals. They took 2 rounds versus L Gaming off in the semifinal, or not in the semifinal, the quarterfinal. So it's a map that they are very comfortable on. And so maybe Germ can bring a little bit of that over into Eclipse and really close it out. However, this is a very tactical map. This is a map where decision-making, calling, lineups mean a lot. And when you have a player like Rude Awakening being that leader, making those decisions, I don't want to write this out for either team.
Yeah, that's where I'm feeling right now. It's defensive-sided, though. That's what I got to say about this one. I really think that Eclipse getting choice of the side is huge here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the lineups, though, and see what we can get from that. James, do you think top tier is going to be able to do it with a lineup like this? 2 mouse?
2 50Bs, nice 7, 2 mice, 2 5As. To me, that says most likely 1 line. Flexibility, maybe use some 50Bs on the hill, flex them out to the 1 line, Batchat to lurk around. Maybe one of the tanks looking through the windows in the courtyard, maybe playing the 3 line there. Meanwhile, Eclipse, 50B, mouse, type 5, 2 5As, Batchat, and an E3. Once again, Photo in that Type 5 should have the HE reset shots onto either cap, so definitely look for that to come into play. And then the 5As, the flexibility, and T1 Diabetic, and that E3, that is a mean tank destroyer you do not want to come across in the wrong situation.
Absolutely. So, as timer starts to run down, the opening moves we're going to be watching for, standard defensive positions from Eclipse, and what will top tier go for? Are they going to go for that 1-line push you were talking about? Well, XO is going to start heading in that direction. Looks like Eclipse will be defending one side. Or at least that'll be the way to go strong side. Makes sense. Normal play. Nothing special. Nothing crazy. He's going to knock down most of these little stanchions. And you knock these down so that heat shells don't get stopped. In case you guys have been losing heat shells firing down this line during your pub battles.
Those sort of objects have the same effect as spaced armor on tanks do with the heat shells, because they are high explosive shells. The second they hit something, they detonate. And if it is not armor that it can penetrate, something like a fence just detonates and does nothing.
And here's another little angle we're looking at with XO. He's got a nice little spot on the tracks. Jojo getting spotted early on. No surprise there, actually. He's up on the classic little window that every IS-7 or 5A or 113 will just be in.
Very defensive hold here from top tier while they wait for their mice to get in position.
Yeah.
Just holding back, not getting too aggressive, not wanting to start some fight over on the 2 line that they're not ready for. That is the downside to bringing mice like this is they're big, they're slow, they take a while to get around. So, no, and they're actually just going to push straight up the 8 line.
Okay. I mean, that's cool, I guess. Lop's going to take a shell. 373. Hako crossing. Doesn't take any damage. Lop is still spotted. Will he take damage? Nope. No damage. Happy mice. They're just going to chill out here together, dance back and forth a little bit, because that's what mouse players do. Literally, that's what you people do. Like, you mouse players, just all you do every day is just back and forth at corners.
And looking at this position, the mice should be able to side scrape that 8 line, make T1 Diabetic back off. But the rest of the tank is just holding the south here, trying to bait Eclipse into a rotate. Maybe they have some sort of hunch that the way they're going to respond to some north aggression is being aggressive in the south. As Muriel does take a shot of damage.
Gets into cover, and that's going to actually prompt Eclipse to back off. It looks like Eclipse was actually planning a little bit of a south flank, but decided to call off the whole deal once they noticed a bat chat in the south. And also, it would have gone quite poorly for Eclipse had they actually decided to stick with their plan. Backing off is a good idea. Little do they know there's 250Bs and a 5A waiting, whereas there's not nearly as many tanks in the far south. And well, let's jump around a little bit. I see Drawcap just kind of looking around. There's nothing here. He's not going to find anything. Nope. Nonik still defending the cap. Photo doing photo finish things. We're all just sitting around, just waiting to see what we'll do. That's what this game is kind of right now. And where is he? Ah, there we go. 5A is moving up. Rude's moving in. Lop's moving forward. So is Aghako. Let's go ahead and take a listen in, James. Yeah. Let's go ahead and listen in and see what they have to say.
See what top tier are planning is they have to break this defense from Eclipse.
We're about to find out. Last cross.
Ready to cross.
There's the E3.
Let me load HG. Can I
He
stick in
hasn't
there?
fired.
Can you?
Yeah, I'm making space.
Yeah. Watch out.
Just fired?
Now he fired.
Cross mice. Okay, I'll work him.
Oh, I
Just don't take any more damage.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
Alright,
did.
50 Bs and I-7. Could you guys pick this?
I got lit on the hill.
Oh, be careful.
Oh, be careful. Yep.
I got
Go on
lit.
the inside. Go on the inside. Don't here.
Did you get lit?
Go on the inside here and pick this guy. I-7, get ready.
I'm coming, it'll be a while though.
Kill the 50 Bs if you can. They got
I
second.
can cross to the defensive. Can they push us?
Yeah, be careful.
I'm permanent,
We're winning
permanent.
south. We're winning south.
I got a shot into Rude. I can't shoot
I
back.
will put one more into Jojo.
Shoot Rude if you can.
I'm reloading.
It's finishing it.
Okay.
The 50 Bs are out most of their shells.
You guys
Can
just need to hold south. Be careful south. Or north, sorry. North. Be careful north.
Drock, do you load first?
I'll load first. I will kill both of
Just
you.
make sure Zitz dies. Drock go 8 line. Drock's going 8 line and he'll stop him.
Okay.
I'll go with Strong.
Help, Root, help.
The
help
bad
with
chat will
Root,
be
help
coming.
with
The bad chat will be coming.
Root. Yeah,
Axel, you can kill exits. I'm gonna chase Smiley.
I have 12.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
Just
fine.
don't get clipped by him. That's fine.
Bad.
Smiley's stuck here. Smiley's stuck here. I got 8.
Okay, it's fine.
I have 4 seconds.
Oh,
Try
we
to
can,
get one
I'm
in.
trying to stay second.
Put one into Mario.
Oh, I'm gonna fire. I'm gonna die. It's fine.
All three of their
Okay.
guys. All 3 1-shots. All 3 1-shots. Yeah. All 3 1-shots. Clean up. Clean this up, and then we can go. We can go for the mice.
Nice.
Good job. Nice. I didn't count how many Smiley shot. It's fine.
We're winning,
got him on cross. I got him on cross.
50, dude.
Just keep going. Just keep going.
And ultimately getting caught out there in the south. A little bit of a mismatch there. The 250Bs and the I-7 thought they had the overmatch, but surprise, surprise, a 4th 50B came out and around in the south and really tipped that in favor of Eclipse. And Muriel really got in there late and got some good damage off. It was too little too late. Damage was done. Tanks were down. And this is going to be Eclipse managing to turn this around. They started off 3-0 down, and they managed to claw back to win it 5-4 as they pick up the last shot of damage here on to Lovetev. Actually making this pretty hard, bouncing a couple shots, but someone should pick up the kill here in a second.
Honestly, I got to give a lot of props to top tier. They did a great job with this, and a lot more props to Eclipse for being able to come back in this. Normally, you don't make it back after losing 3 in a row like that. Normally, you might get to that tiebreaker and, well, lose usually, but they were able to at least get to that tiebreaker. They were lucky that one win they had. Eclipse was lucky to have the fastest win, and they got to choose defensive side on Himmelsdorf, which gives pretty solid advantage. I don't think we can deny that that's probably one of the major factors involved here, is that you all of a sudden have to choose attack on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, and well, I do like what top tier set up to do there. It was a good read from Eclipse. They played that south very well. Exo doing 4,300 damage and 3 kills in a bat chat on Himmelsdorf defense. So
Rare.
Definitely, yeah, doing a good job. And also T1 really cranking out some damage. So now the good news for everyone there is this was a 9-game series. So anyone that had players on either team for fantasy, you're going to really rake in some fantasy points tonight, regardless of how well your player did overall. Now, looking at it, just this end game push here, just good cleanup from Eclipse, really controlling both ends.
You saw some solid teamwork from the guys from top tier. The Bat Chat 50B combo right there on the 8 line was a solid play, just not enough.
Yep, EXO, another 127 fantasy points of his own. Once again, 4,300 damage, 3 kills, not bad. T1 Diabetic, 3,600, 1 kill, 71 fantasy points. Smiley Ridge putting up 2,850 Bs for top tier. Not a bad performance from Smiley Ridge overall tonight, I would have to say. Fitting pretty well into his new team.
Not bad at all, yeah, I think so.
And then Photo Finish, 2K, no kills. Positive, another 1,800, 2 kills. Positive had a off and on night. He had a few very good games early on, especially on Murovanka, but kind of quiet here on this last map. Did what he needed to do, though, and part of the team. Then moving on to the second page, it's going to drop off pretty heavily after that.
Yep.
Germ, especially getting focused out there. Kako and the Mouse took a lot of shots. So just nothing too surprising there on the second page.
Yeah, the defenders really tore apart the attack. I mean, what more do you want on that side? So let's actually take a look at the post-match stats and take a look at this from an overall view, because that's going to be the big tell. Look at how mixed up this is. No Nick does pull away with 2,400 average per battle, and he's going to put 451 fantasy points, but you're going to see exits on top tier, the losing team here. They're going to pull 500. And then EXO, and they're in third, 463. Mariel 510 and Agahako 432. I mean, looking at this is a close match.
Like I said, look at all those points though. Everyone, regardless of which team they were on, that is a lot of fantasy points. Even T1, 352, considering he didn't play 2 rounds at all.
He was disconnected for one, completely gone for another, and then completely gone for yet another, at least as far as we know. And then he returns on Ruinberg.
Fun fact, that's probably more fantasy points than anyone on F7 got tonight.
Oh, you did it.
So overall, good stuff from both teams there. It was a really fun series to watch. Even the second page here, some good fantasy points. Even positive 313. Loptev 303. And Smiley Ridge, first game with top tier in league in 350. It's not a bad performance at all.
Yeah, that's actually decent numbers, I think we can say. So that does it for those stats. I mean, altogether, solid match. I think we really just want to bring in T1. Is it T1 that's going to be coming back?
Yeah, he'll be joining us for a winner's interview right now. Back from his fire drill, I assume.
Yeah, T1, welcome. What happened?
Yeah, feels bad, man.
What happened?
So right before a match, like 10 minutes before, Zim was getting like 700 ping in game. So we're like, okay, well, he can't play because he's getting like packet loss.
Okay.
So EXO jumps in. And then we play the first round, and then obviously I stopped playing in the second round because the fire alarm went off. So I had to leave, so I wasn't playing for like half of the proc when I was just like sitting still in the stirve. So I wasn't doing anything. And then I was gone for the 2 Muros, and then I finally got back as soon as we started playing Ruinberg.
Yeah, we noticed in the chat when you got back, I was keeping track. You were gone for an entire, just all of Murrow, and then you got back for Ruinberg. What did you get to tell your team? Hey guys, I gotta leave, or was it just I'm gone? What was that?
No, I just pretty much right in the middle of proc, I was like, yo, fire alarm went off. Obviously, everybody could hear it, so I was like, I'll be right back. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So obviously longer than what I wanted to be, but I mean,
stuff happens.
That's how it goes, I guess.
Yeah. Now, fire alarm aside, this match was a pretty much a roller coaster of a match. You guys started off a bit slow. The fire alarm didn't help, and then you guys picked it back up, and you obviously just won an OT. Walk us through that last match. What was your guys' plan? You guys feel you executed it as you wanted to, or was it more ad-lib, on-the-fly adaptation?
On what, Himmel's D?
Himmel's defense at the end there.
No, just pretty much play what we've gone over. I mean, that's it. Just we executed it well, and we got good damage trading out. So, yeah.
What did you think of top tier? They exceeded our expectations for the match, and we're not quite sure what to read into that because of we know that you had the fire drill situation. We don't know how that impacts your team necessarily. What do you think the top tier brought today to you guys?
I mean, nothing new. I mean, it's pretty much almost identical last season. Just like change like 1 or 2 people, and that's it. I mean,
that's top tier for you.
That's top tier. Yeah, that's what Rude does. Rude doesn't care who's playing. He's comfortable with whoever. And
okay, because
that's it. They practice what they practice, and
they just show up some days and they're a little bit better than they were the other two. Because
I mean, obviously a lot better than what happened like on the fly when they have to play with 3 of their starters are out, so
Yeah.
obviously they were going to be a lot better.
Okay. Yeah, it was just what we're here just kind of trying to get a solid read on that T1. So thank you very much for giving us a little bit of insight there.
All right, T1, any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, just happy that got the win, even with the bad situation, I guess, or unlucky situations.
Yeah.
So
Yep, life happens.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much for joining us, T1.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep. Congratulations once again to T1 and the rest of Eclipse holding on there. That was a long night for them. That was a very long match. It's almost an hour-and-a-half series in total. So overall, good stuff. Any final thoughts on that before we get ready for our next match?
Well, certainly exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, well,
hope it did for you too.
Yeah, no, it was a great series. I loved watching it thoroughly. However, we are going to get ready for our next match, which is going to be 07 versus Aquatic M60s. So don't go anywhere because we'll be right back.
Folks, I'm Big Dave, and when I'm not wrangling cattle, I'm right here wrangling you new deals. Now this here is a 2007 Ford Mustang, less than 100,000 miles, full leather interior, a CD player, and air conditioning. Now how about this 2005 Nissan Quest? You're on a quest for a new car? Why not this family-sized van, new paint job, new transmission, and it seats 7. Maybe not in store for something for the family? Well, I got something for you. How about this tank? Hooey! That there's 60,000 pounds of American-made steel. Now, I can't tell you what war she was in, because that's confidential. But what I can tell you is that she can get 3/4 of a mile to the gallon, and she's great for off-roading. Now, some of you may be thinking, Big Dave, what am I going to do with the tank? Well, I say, partner, the better question is, what won't you do with the tank? Here at Big Dave's, we don't camouflage our prices. Our savings are out in the open. Cool. Now, this may be something one of our competitors may try to pass off to you. Not here at Big Dave's. Here at Big Dave's, we crush the competition. We're winning the war on savings. So come on down to Big Dave's Used Car Ranch. Take the North 101, exit 48, take a left on Main, and don't stop till you see the giant tank. Cool.
Oh, Clutch, how I miss you.
I miss him so much. I really, really do. I miss you, Clutch.
Love that commercial. All right, guys, we are back, and it is going to be 07 taking on Aquatic M60s. Now, 0-7 are well on the path to starting the season 0-7, and Aquatic M60s still struggling a little bit. Only have 1 win so far this season. What is so funny?
You said 0-7 is... You mixed up the thing. It was funny. Anyway.
Anyway, they're struggling is the point. They're on the struggle bus. There is no denying that.
Yes, and you can tell us all about your thoughts on the struggle bus on Twitter and Facebook at WGLNA using the hashtag WGLNA. And of course on Facebook, tell us all about that as well. /WGLNA.
Yep, and also check out the Fantasy League at fantasytanks.com. Get in there, compete against me, Randall, the whole rest of the ESL staff here, the Wargaming staff, and all the Gold League players. And the rest of the community, see how you stack up in the standings, compete for Type 59s every single match day, all sorts of other prizes, gold, boosters, all sorts of that fun stuff. So there's no reason not to be in there if you're here watching.
Absolutely. So let's move on and talk a little bit about this match, James.
Yep. Now it's going to be 07 versus Aquatic M60s. Now 07, they have had a very turbulent start to this season. Not making any roster changes during the roster window, so nothing surprising there.
Nothing.
Colsoid and FC Dynamo, the new additions to that team, still, trying to get mixed in, kind of get a feel for things, blend with the rest of their team. not being native English speakers, definitely making things a little bit hard. However, they have players like Arclit and Warbender who speak Russian as well, so they have to do some translating.
Yeah, the translation kills a little time, so we've noticed those cause 07 to have a few little, delays in reactions. But I'm expecting them to improve week by week. Every single time we see them play, they're just that little bit better. So hold on and just, wait and see. And your 07 fans, you guys just stay strong. 07 may turn things around on you.
Yeah, however, a 13% win rate on attack does not give anyone a lot of confidence.
Have some faith, guys. On the side, though, of Aquatic M60s, the team that is your expected winner today, they haven't made too many big changes.
They didn't make any roster changes during this roster window's previous weekend. However, at the start of the season, they did pick up Pupil and Big Cheese, so 2 new players stepping into the lineup there. Pupil obviously coming over from Eclipse, we just saw, but they did lose Bales, who, that's going to be a big one, and Dark Ninja also leaving to Dear Rising. So 2 very important players for Aquatic M60s gone, and that they are struggling to really perform at the same level they were last season. So they really need to step it up if they're going to have a chance this season.
That they are. So looking at these guys, I think we've got a pretty good idea that they're both struggling with their attack wins. Their defense wins, well, they're doing okay. And as teams that do not have great positive scores right now, they know they're in the struggle bus. It's hard to stay positive because of 8 amazing teams in North America. You're on the back of the curve for it.
I guess you could say 07 are having some major issues.
Yep, that would be right. That would be, gosh.
Now, the other thing to note there for 07, no mines, and that is one of the maps where they've actually played pretty well. They took 2 rounds off of top tier.
You're right, because Sand, Himmelsdorf, Murro, Prok.
Yep. So we're not going to see that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the maps that ended up getting banned out here.
It got banned first.
Yeah, it was the first one banned.
It's just gone. Yep. For the tiebreaker and for the normal match. It was just the first one was gone. And that's Aquatic banning it out, of course.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a second. Now,
here we go.
First bans. Yeah, Mines Cliff, Mines being banned by Aquatic M60s, which is a little bit surprising since that is one of the maps that Aquatic M60s were very strong on in season past.
Yeah, but maybe not against 07. Maybe not. And then Cliff, it's pretty much the same situation. Cliff is to Aquatic as Mines is to 07. Yep. So they both get rid of their confidence maps.
Sand River first up.
What do you think of that?
That one, especially knowing Arclit and just how that whole 07 team works, that could be very good for them, or it could be disastrous.
We shall see. Himmelsdorf.
M60s have played pretty well in that in the past. However, 07, I think with some of their newer players, bringing in the mice and whatnot, and once again, this is another one of those knowing Arclit things. Okay. One of those, they're really good at set pieces. They're really good at picking the right tanks for the right strats and really relying on the tank picks to get the things done. So I don't think that Himmelsdorf is too out of the question for 07.
Yeah, and then Ruinberg Ghost Town.
No surprises. And Murovanka and Prok coming across. That Murro is not a map that I predict that either of these teams are particularly strong on. However, maybe that's what they wanted to go for. Get rid of Ruinberg, which is in favor of M60s in my opinion, and then Ghost Town is one of the maps that 07 play a lot, but their actually record is not that great on it.
Not so good. I think the reason we're seeing Sand River, Himmelsdorf, Murro, and Prok is literally because they're the maps that didn't get banned. You saw Mines and Cliff. Both are bans to counter out the strongest maps of their opponents, and then everything else followed naturally.
So what you're saying is the reason they banned the certain maps they did is they wanted to get rid of those maps. They didn't care what was left. They just wanted to make sure their opponent didn't get those maps in their favor.
Precisely. I think that was more important than it was necessarily getting the right order of maps or picking up those maps necessarily. You're trying to get rid of those maps you know your opponent has on lock.
Yep. So more so worried just, like I said, getting rid of the maps that you don't want to play and just dealing with the ones you can, which to me also says, hey, we're not really too overly confident in any one map, so let's just focus on not playing the ones our opponent's good at.
Let's find out. Let's find out, because we do have both representatives of 07 and Aquatic M60 to join us for the face-off. Gentlemen, welcome. We're going to be bringing them up here in just a second. Usually it's Meadowhawk. There he is. Sir, welcome back. And Mr. Man, always good to see you, sir.
How's it going?
Pretty good. Now, we were just talking, guys. Neither of you guys made roster changes during this last roster window.
What's up?
Yeah, so let's start with Meadowhawk. So no roster changes. You made 2 big ones during the off season. Things are starting a little bit slow for you guys. Do you still feel you're in a good place with your current roster, though?
A little slow is kind of an understatement, but I think we're gonna try and stick with it. Obviously, that could bite us in the butt. This week's pretty big with regards to matches for this week, and to because right now we're kind of still upset from our first roster change. So to go ahead and roll the dice again and bring in new people or get rid of people could be more damaging than it would be good for us. Other than maybe a caller, I think we could definitely, seek out a caller, and we might do that for the next roster change. But pickings are pretty slim in that area.
All right, Mr. Mann, it's pretty much the same question to you guys. You guys have, you had one win early on, but you've struggled a lot since then. Do you guys feel you're comfortable where you're at? Was there roster changes you were looking at that just didn't happen, or what's up with your team?
Yeah, we were looking at bringing on one additional player, but he ended up not working out, and we're trying out some new players right now for the next roster change, but this current one we weren't really able to find anyone that we thought would make a good fit, so we ended up just sticking with our current roster.
All right. Now we were talking about, you guys have kind of underperformed arguably a little bit compared to where expectations for where you guys are typically, if you get what I'm saying. You guys, a lot of people put a little bit more faith in the M60s. What do you credit your lackluster start to?
Definitely the big change up with the roster in our team. We lost both Dark and Bales, like you guys have been mentioning, and brought on some new players. So it's just been figuring out how they fit in and who needs to fill what role properly. So.
All right, fair enough. And Meadowhawk, during the last face-off we did with you, when we talked to Rude about where his team was at, you said that if they were an 8, you guys were a 5. You still feel that way after you've had a few days off to practice?
I'd say we're hovering still around there. Obviously, we still haven't gotten used to Andy, and there's still some communication issues. And I'm hoping that if we can get some wins, it might get us off of this tilt, because right now we're quite we don't have any confidence in ourselves right now. I think a win would really help the team out.
So Aquatic, Mr. Matt, you gonna let that happen?
No, unfortunately not. We're kind of in the same boat as they are, so this is just as important for us. And the rivalry between both our teams has been going on for a while now. So.
All right, guys. Well, I'll let you say your final words to each other. Meadowhawk, anything to say?
No, just good luck, have fun, may the best loser win. Is that how that works?
Well said. Well said.
May the best winner no.
May the best winner lose. Yeah. Either way, it's
the phrase "if you're not first, you're last" comes to mind right now.
Mr. Man, what do you got?
May the best team win, and I got a better mustache than you do, bro. So.
Ooh.
I got nothing. Everyone can look at my Twitter to see what my beautiful mustache would look like.
Okay.
But
well,
I can't do it. I can't do it.
All right,
I can't
guys.
do it anymore. This shit.
Thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the battlefield. Every time. It's always beautiful. Every time. I love them. I love those guys. All right. Yep. Let's get to this match where we're going to watch two teams that are really sad, really want to win.
Yep, it's pretty much can M60s learn to float and keep above water, or are 07 going to be 0-7 if they're not too careful? It's kind of,
I don't know. He doesn't know. None of us know. 07 doesn't know. Aquatic M60s doesn't know. Nobody knows anything. This is just tanks now.
Now that we've done that, we glossed over the predictions earlier, but we didn't really talk about them. So let's go ahead and touch on that. You still feeling the same way as you were before?
I'm feeling all right, and I'm feeling kind of confused about Sand River. I don't know how to deal with teams like this. When you guys are, telling us that you're not quite so confident, you need a few wins here and there, it says some crazy stuff might go down. I'm waiting to see if we're going to see something crazy go down in Sand River. That might inform my decision a little bit more. I don't know if I can keep my prediction. I don't know if I'd be lying to the audience here. I'd be lying to you guys at home if I told you I believed in my prediction.
I want to root for both of them. For something in my gut is telling me 07 steps it up today.
Really? I don't know. I don't know. I could go either way. It's complete. It could just be momentum based. We've seen what happens with 07 later in a series when they're down. It doesn't stay as forceful. It doesn't stay as confident. You can see it when a player it has the wind knocked out of them. Figuratively, of course. They're not actually playing. They're not actually. That would be fun. We should do that. Anyway, sorry. We'll see.
Yeah, no,
we'll
I
see.
tend to agree. Both teams just they don't seem to have that spark that either of them have had in the past.
Well, when you're put in a position like Aquatic and like 07 are, where they've achieved quite high records, where they have gone to the live finals. Let's point this one out. These guys are live finalists. These guys are veterans. They're going to be bringing 2 5As, 4 Batchats, and a 103B versus 07 bringing IS7, Kronwagen, 3 Batchats, Patton, and a 103B. But neither of these teams has had a long-standing good streak right now, which is why it's that important. You have to understand that with 8 teams and no official Silver League below this, there's not a lot of contrast in this league. If you are the worst team in the WGLNA, you are the one of the worst teams that people see in North America at World of Tanks. So like right now, that's their perspective. I'm not saying they are actually that bad, because we all know these guys are freaking amazing at this game. Yeah. But the contrast between them and the upper teams right now.
There are virtually no players in the league that don't deserve to be here.
Yeah.
They've all earned their spot. They've put in their dues.
But we don't get to compare these to what we used to. Remember when the league was about twice this size? We had twice
back when there was an open, a bronze, a silver, and then 16 teams in the gold league some time ago? Yeah. Now, opening plays here, 07 bringing Patton, called Batchats, Kronwagen, once again, we talk about this 07, and especially it's something Arclight's known for, picking tanks for certain roles, and that really comes to play here with 07. The Kronwagen, great hold-down tank. Patton, decent hold-down tank, great view range to spot at long distances. IS7, able to play hold-downs. And then the SGRV, good cover tank, let that sturf set up, get a lot of damage off, and we're going to see already M60s head heavily towards the south, 1 Batchat towards F1 up on the boost. Couple 5As in the middle there, and the rest of the tanks, including the STRV, are just going to push heavy down on that K-line.
Yep, looks like 3 bats, and nope, 3 bats, sorry, and Mr. Man to follow them up. This little attack might get pretty far without being spotted. You can see Marsh leading the way. This is a nice distance to put between the supporting tanks and yourself. With that, Marsh is going to be able to go for some spotting. We're going to go for his POV. And with that, you will see what he sees. What shall he see?
Well, and Marsh may come across Andy Pans in this Kronwagen, which...
Ah, there he goes. Finds Fosta. Actually found Fosta.
And Andy Pans, though, in this Kronwagen is going to be able to play this hold down, and this is going to be a really difficult position to be dug out of, especially in this Kronwagen. Now, Pupil might be onto something. He might have an angle in the back of his turret. If they open up multiple angles, Andy might get caught out here, but one-on-one, if you can keep the tanks in front of you in that Kronwagen, especially if you're hold down, you're basically impenetrable.
Yep, and just keep the support fire coming and don't back up too far. I see this too often on Sand River, where a player in Andy Pan's position will actually retreat slightly to the west even from where he is, which is on the screen right now to his right. If he goes too far that way retreating, he'll actually expose himself to more fire.
Now, one other thing to note is there's a 3-second delay between each shell in this Kronwagen, so if these Batchats push him, he'll probably get off a couple shots, but there's a good chance that they're able to close and clip him out before he can empty his whole clip, which even then is only 1,600 damage, so he's really going to rely upon the rest of his team to really knock down those Batchats and get out that damage to capitalize on it.
And now we can see 3 Batchats on their way out, which to me is... There's a bit of risk here, because those 5As from Pupil and them are kind of cut off. There's not a huge amount of support, and 07 doesn't necessarily know exactly where everything is. There's a lot of doubt. They might not actually aggress in this situation. Their defense is okay. But Pupil is a little bit vulnerable here, and he's going to choose to back off. So it does look like Aquatic is going to back off completely. 07 looks like they're playing defensive as well, not willing to engage too much to start this one off because, as we've both discussed, morale on the team seems to be in a shaky place. And because of that, what you're trying to do as a commander right now is you're trying to keep everyone's heads on straight to start this one off. If you start the match correctly, it's kind of one of the thought process is if we start okay, if we just keep our heads on, we don't do something crazy, we don't throw ourselves off at the start, everyone will just get their confidence and we'll follow this through.
That can also lead to callers, when they're in this sort of position and they're trying to keep their team happy, they tend not to take risks. They tend to call too conservatively. If you get into that habit of calling too conservatively and not taking any risk, it can really work against you, because sometimes what you need to do is just take that plunge.
And would you call this a plunge on the side of Aquatic?
They're committing full north. Batchats rotating all around. Even the Sturf backed out. So they're going to hit pretty much all from 2 angles here instead of opening up more than that.
And there we go, but they're the only 2 tanks spotted right now. All 4 bat chats on the side of Aquatic that are moving on the north. Oh, never mind, just as I say it. Marsh takes a shell. Then you got Big Cheese and Giggles. Feel My Potato is going to sneak through without getting spotted. That's going to be nice for Aquatic. And Pupil, FC Dynamo. Oh, there he goes. One nice little shell into him. As he retreats, gives ground to the 2 bat chats. And now Aquatic M60s will push forward with their heavies and try to take
They are certainly taking the plunge into the deep end.
Oh, no.
First bat chat gets focused out. Good response from 07, getting all their tanks back into the fight, and they are ready for this push. Kronwagen coming back up from the south. Batchat's bleeding a lot of damage. Feel My Potato taking a lot of shots. And 07 comfortably up a couple thousand HP now.
Not bad. 07's got a solid defense. Looks like they can get into solid positions, start to push back against this from Aquatic, because the more time you give Aquatic right now, really the better. Although if 07 just takes a few reloads, I think Colosoid could do with a reload at this point. But let's not be judgy.
Now, something we see happen a lot is when tanks come in the south area and they know they have tanks up in the north, they'll dump into these south heavy tanks where 07 are right now. However, the Batchats are pushing aggressively in the north at the same time, trying to dictate the tempo, so they understand it's going to happen. Focus fire is coming out onto Pupil. However, the heat shells are really struggling against this 5A right now.
Here's the attack. 07 decides forward is the best direction. FC Dynamo tries to get up there, but decides maybe not. As Marcos begins slipping forward into position.
And Fosta doing what he can. He's trying to find shots onto Felix. Gets one off into the back there, trying to keep these guns isolated as the Batchats push across in the north. Yeah. They've all backed up, and 07 are doing good right now, but they need to keep the pressure on. They need to find some more damage as Mr. Man does pick up FC Dynamo.
Arclet was caught out for just a moment, and he stalled out the Aquatic M60's attack. They're going to decide to continue going forward, focus on the Warbander. 2 shells into him, 1 more. That's going to finish him off. This from Giggles. Arclet's left alone, and there are 4 tanks alive for 07 right now.
Fosta does pick up the kill onto Felix, and now it's a 1-on-1. The 5A should be reloaded first, but Pupil needs to make the shot count. And Felix bounces the shot for Pupil and ends up picking up the kill.
Wow. That happened. Nicely played.
Fosta, we mentioned, maybe F07, since he's not calling, need to look for some stronger players to pick up the slack there. But Fosta coming up huge there with individual play.
Yeah, Mr. Man is... Okay, he's here. I thought he was stuck with 1 tap on R just going forward for a minute. But it looks like Aquatic will group up, put some Batchats on the high ground, take Giggles around to the flank. You can see Giggles just kind of running back there.
Yeah, and Arclet getting a little bit more aggressive here with this patent. Now he does have gun depression and turret armor to really work this, so he could really bully these Batchats if he's careful.
Yeah, if he actually finds them. Right now, by the way, the info that Aquatic has is about none. Remember that.
Right.
So right now, they for all they know, everything they saw on the map previously has moved. So just remember that when you're looking at both sides. There hasn't been that much vision. Now there is. Giggles gets spot onto Fosta. Giggles actually takes all of his hit points of damage. Colosoid peeking up and over just to do that, saves Fosta. And now Aquatic has 3 to 07's 4. What are you going to do there? What's this about? I don't even know. I don't know.
The Batchats are pushing up. They may find the isolation onto Arclet. However, I don't think they realize that the Sturb is in a position to support him right now. As Mr. Man does pick up the kill onto Fosta finally.
Big Cheese aggresses into Arclet. Puts 1 but not a second into him.
Arclet doing what he can, just playing the position. There are the defenders, 2 minutes left on the clock. Good damage going off into Makos right now.
Big Cheese deciding that he's going to take advantage of that target. And at the same time actually managed to dodge Arclet. He's going to back off. Big Cheese is now completely alone with no ammo. Arclet may be able to get the kill shot. Not quite. He's going to need 1 more to do the job.
They need to be careful. Remember, they are defending right now, so they don't need to take these fights. Now, they need to try to support each other, but at the same end, they need to not get overly aggressive as Colosoid finds the shot on the Big Cheese.
Yeah, overly aggressive. How about just maybe just choose the right play? How about that? That's what Colosoid thinks.
And Mr. Man trying to come up to get Colosoid. Arclet doing what he can to cover him. Gets 1 shot off there. Is Colosoid stuck?
I think he's holding that position, but I can't tell. Honestly, can't tell. Does Feel My Potato know that he doesn't? Colosoid picks up a kill for it. And now What's going on, James?
Arclet takes a shot. However, Mr. Man has to deal with Colsoid here. Now, Colsoid has actually dropped his clip, so he's reloading, so he can't do anything right now. Or he fired his last shot, excuse me, into the Batchat.
And 07 is sitting here with their healthiest, most important tank on reload. Nice shot right there. Mr. Man, the attacker here, has to get the kills.
I think Colsoid's stuck. No, he gets unstuck there.
He realized it's probably a bad idea to stay there, which I see maybe why he wants to stay. Colsoid almost flips himself over, but just about to get into position. Mr. Man is just waiting for him, like an angry crab.
More like a honey badger.
Like a honey badger?
Honey badger.
I like the honey badger. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I like that more. I was thinking like a crab because if you ever like, you're on the beach or you're playing or you're amongst some rocks.
You just don't want to mess with one of these things. The stir, especially close. Like
it's over. There we go.
That's gonna be 07 picking up the win. This is one of those games where there's just so many little things that happened that just kind of leave me
speechless.
I don't even want to say speechless. It's just I think flustered is the better.
You sure?
The better word. Yeah.
It's flustering because we're watching it from third person. We're sitting there like, oh, you're going to make this decision, and then it makes sense to follow that you will do X and Y, and then nothing happens, or like whatever you were hoping would happen doesn't, and then it just goes, it falls apart, and it always hits me right here because I'm sitting there and I get excited for one team or another because then one team starts doing something and I want to see that build because that's usually what a win looks like.
Yep. Now, before we get back to this match, we do have a final score update for the offline match. It was 5-1 in favor of Dare over Teal Team 6. A lot of people thought that match would be a little bit closer, but Dare, really, the veterans really, putting down Teal Team 6.
I think everyone underestimates Dare just a little bit.
Yeah, well, there's that, and after that last win, it was a very convincing win with Teal Team 6 over F7. Now, arguably, some that may have been F7 made a lot of mistakes. Teal Team 6 capitalized on it, but they didn't necessarily do a whole lot to really dictate the tempo. And so I think, when they play a team a little bit more experienced like Dare is not going to let that happen the same. And ultimately, it's going to be them picking it up 5-1. Now, we move back into this match right now.
Yeah.
They started off with the South play. I like the decision not to try to commit on Dandy Pans. I think the toll they would have had to pay to get him out would have been too costly. So I don't have a problem with that. But the overall, the Batchat push in the north really cost them. And then Fosta down there, we saw that clip just a second ago, that 2v1. That was really what won that for 07. Against all odds, he held on to I-7 against 2 5As and really did a good job. So,
yeah,
big shout out there. Now, we are going to go straight into the next battle. It is going to be M60s, 2 5As, 3 Batchats, a 140, and an STRV. Meanwhile, 07, whole lot of 5As and 3 Batchats. So, to me, if 07 are bringing this lineup, it's for a reason. Some sort of bully strat would be my guess. Maybe we'll see what Elevate did. They'll drive straight to cap.
Possibly. What it also says is, we haven't been bringing this one up, and I'm reminded of it now, is when you bring those kind of uniform strats where you bring all of one tank and then a few of another, what you're doing is you're also saying flexibility. And because if you have those 5As in any number of positions, doesn't matter what your spawn is, doesn't matter what's going on, you can flex a tank from the most optimal position into the next most optimal.
There are different styles you can play. Last game, we saw a lot of very specific tanks for certain roles. Kronwagen, play a hold down. Sturf, cover fire. And so as the other team, you can kind of predict what they're going to do. Okay, well, this tank's here. It means they're probably going to play one of 2 positions, etc. And you can start to map it out. It's something we see Rude Awakening do a lot. Predict where the opponent's going to take their tanks. When you bring these sort of lineups where it's just 5As and Batchats, you can really do, I don't want to say anything, but you can really surprise your opponent. They don't have to play together. They can play different angles. They can split up. You can do all sorts of things, and that makes it hard for your opponent to figure out what you're going to do.
And now 07, what they're doing is they're actually taking the hidden route, the hidden approach on Sand River. This is, as of the current meta, we'll say, the most hidden way to get to the number 2 cap. Like this is how you don't get spotted. You just delay a little bit to avoid opening scout runs.
They're just going to go up and over.
Yeah. What you're going to do is you're going to try and go for violence of action. You're going to try and catch your opponent off surprise. You're going to just get in here. You're going to clear the entire zone out.
There ain't no brakes on this train for 07 as they're going to go over. And they're going to try to focus fire. Split fire coming out in these 5As. However, it seems to be sufficient enough as Big Cheese is going to get melted. And drop. Pupil is going to be next. And 07 are actually backing off after the initial pick.
Yeah, but the crossfire right now from our defenders, Aquatic M60s, almost everyone here has a shot on a target. And so as you saw there, 2 tanks go down entirely for Aquatic. But everything on the side of 07 sustains damage. And they even lose Colosoid. So in a trade for 2 tanks and no additional damage dealt, you have lost your 1, you have an ammo-racked Makos, you have a dead driver on Fosta, you have 4 tanks at half or about less than half hit points. So
but look at this.
Not good.
Marsh is still reloading. Lordander's in position. He's going to start emptying his shot.
Yeah, Marsh is almost reloaded. There he goes.
This would be a big pick for 07 if they can trade this out, because that's going to put them 3 guns up.
Yeah, but hit points wise, they're
and
still
bounces for both players.
Wow.
And Warbander's out, and now he's going to take the clip from Marsh.
Wow.
And now they're both out again, and that could have been decisive. However, M60s has had time to respawn. The 140 in behind, the rest of the guns closing, and this is going to make 07 have to respawn very quickly, but they don't have the HP left at this point. And now Dynamo is going to come in. He's going to try to pick up Marsh. He's going to bounce a shot. Makos is going to find the kill on the other end, though. Now there's only 4 tanks left alive for M60s.
Giggles is moving in behind. Looks like he's going to give up on waiting on a reload for a kill shot, and instead is going to go for those 2 low health. There's FC Dynamo. 1 shell, a little bit low, 304. Decides back off, maybe pull FC Dynamo in. In this situation, I might actually recommend going forward a little bit more and trying to just get your kill shot. Do not waste this shot. Do not waste that, and you waste it.
And now M60 is coming in here with 2 fully loaded bat chats, and they should be able to clean this up. Good focus fire from the 5As, putting 2 shots into Feel My Potato, but not enough. And 07, well, they went for the gusto. They took that plunge. Just the focus fire from M60s, I think, was too great. Now, it is a 2v3. It's not over. It should go to M60s. Everything says it should. But with 2 5As left on their team, who knows what will happen. These bat chats, you need to be real careful, because Feel My Potato's a 1-shot. Felix could be double tapped and go down. They're going to push around. Fosta putting the first shot into the dirt. Both of them looking for shots onto Fosta. 1 comes in. Do they get the follow-up?
But here's Mr. Man out of the high ground.
Fosta comes around. Now it's down to Feel My Potato, who's going to pick up the shot. Fosta left alive, bounces 1 shot. Feel My Potato has 2 left. And he after 1 left. And now all of a sudden it's Stir versus Fosta, really. If Fosta can win this 1v1, he can do this. But he's tracked. Mr. Man's going to keep him in front. Feel My Potato's going to come in, pick it up. And that is going to tie this up 1-1 on Sand River.
Okay, there we go. Aside from watching some plays which should not have happened, shots not landing that really should have. Okay, not bad.
With these teams in the positions that they're in, that is something that's going to happen in a lot of their matches until they start doing otherwise.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to say to that.
The value of practice here. And it's just frustrating because you're looking at a medium player who you know is good. Knows exactly what they're doing. And it just looks like everything's going to come together, but then certain little things are off. And you don't know whether to blame the player or his opponent for that happening. And let's look at this push again. So 07 pushes in. I had a lot of issues with this because of how much damage 07 sustained. I'll give them credit because they were able to split the damage. However, it just cost-wise, this did not work out.
I like what they were going for. The problem is that once they were all spotted, from the time that engagement took to start, it was probably 10 plus seconds. And so with that time, that allowed M60s to adjust, to be ready to punish it. They saw it coming. And because they predicted it, that's why they got off so much damage. Mr. Man was able to set up 4K, 91 fantasy points. Marsh, Batchat, 3,500, 100 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Feel My Potato, another 2,100. So because of that, there were smarter ways I think 07 could have gone about that. Slow it down a little bit, have 1 tank go up, make those tanks back off in the bull. Once they've backed off, push everyone over at that point when they're not looking for it. But they saw all the heavy tanks. They knew they were all there. They knew what the risks were, and they were ready. They set up for it, and M60s recovered.
Yeah.
If they hadn't, I would have been a little bit worried for them, just because when you had that much warning, your tanks were in those sort of positions. If you had lost that, definitely a risk.
Absolutely. Taking at the second page, that 140 from Giggles coming in, 1,746 with 3 kills. Comes in a little bit late. I think 140 was possibly... he was able to deal a little bit of damage, get a few kills here, but he was out of the fight for times when I think Giggles really wanted to be tank just pumping out damage. And the rest of 07, I think Big Cheese not getting any damage off is actually something to note for Aquatic there. he didn't get anything. He didn't, nothing.
Yeah, he was in one of the first 5A in that bowl there, and the focus fire was not perfect out of 07. I felt like it could have been a little bit stronger, a lot of split fire. They let him get a few more shots off than they arguably should have, and they didn't even kill the second 5A. If they're going to bleed that much damage, I feel like they could have killed him sooner. They ultimately did before that push was over, but they could have. I felt like it should have been a little bit cleaner from my personal standpoint, from where I saw it.
Yeah, but now we're going to move on to Himmelsdorf. So let's put that behind us for now. Just lay that all to rest. And look at a map where defenders have a huge advantage, and attackers, well, the attacking team in this case is, well, that's going to be, it's going to be 07, it looks like. And we'll have to see what they can do. Can they win in this situation? Are they going to go hill? They're going to go one line, mids, a little mid, playing the banana? I don't know. What do you think with the lineup that we're seeing out of these teams?
As they come in here, it's going to be Aquatic M60s, a 50B, 2 mice, 2 5As, a Batchat, and an E3. 07, the thing to note, Fosta being subbed out for major issues. They have a 50B, an I7, a mouse, 2 5As, a Batchat, and an E4, and it is going to be 07 attacking. E4 on offense. To me, that says hill. Put it up there.
Yeah, I see what you're going for.
Especially over at B0, be able to work that corner there towards the back tanks. Maybe some sort of split, work the one line, have a couple tanks up there, get them behind the Batchat, make them rotate around across that E4. That's what my gut says.
Yeah, and based on the way the mini-map's looking right now, we'll just jump over to Colossoid. He's on the hill, and behind him, guess who that is?
An E4.
Yeah, that's an E4. Good job, James. Good job, buddy.
I know something every now and then. Meanwhile, Batchat 50B pushing down the one line, and actually another 5A, both 5As working that 1-2 line as well, getting ready in pretty aggressive positions. And that E4 just slowly getting up to the hill.
He'll get there.
Mouse slowly getting across that K line into the south.
Oh wow, that takes forever.
Yep, it is not a fast tank. Does have the added advantage of a turret. Looks like the E3 does not. We see Felix in on the other team.
He's got Binox, he's got a Vent, and a Rammer. Something to pay attention to,
And
guys.
running Cola as well, no fire extinguisher. Not necessarily a tank that gets set off fire a lot, as long as it's from the front.
But you should watch out for that, because that's the tactic actually I go with for killing them, is by setting them on fire.
Well, another thing that a lot of people forget is that E4, the turret, has a turret, it's only 180 degrees. Cannot go behind, look towards the back. So if you're in, say, a Batchat, you get behind it, either you perma-track it or you just keep circling it. It will really struggle to keep up with anything around on the sides, and if you can get behind it, you can put shots into the back where the fuel tanks are and set it up like a tinderbox.
Yeah, just like all American tanks. Actually, in this game, most American tanks are known for kind of catching fire if you shoot them in the gas
Well, even
tanks.
in real life, the Sherman was known as to some other people as the Tommy Cooker, because they would just set on fire and burn. So definitely a trait that a lot of American tanks, and part of that has to do with, I believe, the fact that a lot of them actually run off pure gasoline as opposed to diesel. I believe is part of that.
That is
I could
a
be
really
mistaken.
complicated subject.
Yeah.
That is an incredibly complicated subject.
Go watch the Chieftain Hatch videos. He covers it quite in-depthly over there.
It's like I would love to get into that, but I just feel like we'd run into something happening, and we'd just be like, oh gosh, we forgot about the whole match because we're talking about diesel.
We have plenty of time because 07 are rotating all their heavy tanks except for the mouse up to
like
zero line right now.
This is like a 20-minute breakdown, sir. We need like 3 whole battles for that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, maybe we'll plan out some slideshows next time.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Chieftain has multiple presentations.
He has
on that.
wonderful slideshows. Have you seen his slideshows?
Oh yeah, no, he has to. If you haven't seen them yet, I'm just going to leave this there. If you haven't seen either the Inside the Chieftain Hatch videos or any of the other presentations that he's done, go watch them. If you love tanks, if you love history, there's so many interesting things there that you can really pick up and learn about these tanks. And actually, will give you some insight to why these tanks the way they are in game as well.
And also insight into what it's like to be a very tall person fitting into tanks that were designed for very average height people.
Yeah, definitely. Especially the Russian tanks, not made for big people to get inside.
He has trouble getting. It's always funny because like he knows so much, but he has trouble fitting.
Yep.
It's like how?
Even some of the American tanks, it can be a struggle, especially some of the older ones like the M22 Locust, the Chaffies, Bulldogs,
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that.
because you did bits in those. In those things. All right, here's the big push, guys. Down the hill, 07 is going to head. Looking towards the 2 cap. Makos will be getting into position into that E4. I'm reminded of a move I saw on the APAC stream where we saw Type 5s, an entire team of them, I think it was Horsemen, decided to peek out in this direction and try and get some hits. And just like 07, they didn't deal any damage. But this is a little bit less of that move. I'm just reminded of.
Now Felix is alone. Marsh is the only tank in position to help him, but they're actually not even going to push across. They're going to go south, and they're just leaving that mouse in the bottom lane there. And if he turns around, he could be extremely hard to kill in that position.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see, though, as AM60 is very spread out. There's a huge number of tanks south. I'm on Mako's right now, just kind of looking across the cap, and there's nothing here. There's nothing. There's a mouse coming into position. He is not spotted. E3 is the only thing lit. Cap has started right here. 07's going to put the pressure on. Aquatic has to get that reset. But it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a hot minute before anyone's going to be in position to actually put a reset in. And that worries me right now.
And if you look at the mini-map, the E4 actually sitting in that B0 position, the spot that we thought he was going to sit on with that turret. And he's going to be able to punish those tanks as they come to try to get these resets.
Yeah, he's looking for Marsh right now. It's a tricky shot, though. Marsh, I think, understands exactly what's going on.
What I really don't like out of 07 here is the lack of control in that D-line. If you're running this sort of strat, I feel like you need to have more control of that D-line because you can get free resets across the south there and only one IS-7 to stop it. Mouse is out of position from dealing with it as well. And here, Pupil and Giggles coming up from the south are going to flank onto Arclet. Arclet's holding off Feel My Potato right now, but that will not last long. Mouse from Warbander is in a hold position, but Pupil and Giggles are going to decide to bypass, instead go after Golosoid. Looks like 07's going to decide, yeah, we need to break south, do not be surrounded, pick a direction, forward is the best direction, and attack. But right now they're not going fast enough, and they're getting torn apart. Major anti-pans, all sustaining damage. And there we go, 2 tanks down. This is a decent hold there. Okay, taking people down is huge. Now Giggles needs to go down for 07. 07 needs to do that. Well, at the same time, by the way, Mako's is being taken down by Mr. Man on the other side of the map. Just barely, now he is up on screen. He ends up going down.
Aquatic's going to regroup, though. 5. Now 4 tanks against 3. One of them is in the windows. That's FC Dynamo, who's just reloaded in a 50B.
Now, the one thing I do want to note real quick, Mr. Man, remember how we noticed that the turret, we mentioned the turret on the E4 doesn't go all the way around. What the E4 did, Mako's that was really smart, was he put his back up against a wall. He made it so that the Batchat couldn't get behind him.
Oh, no.
So he tried, but the Batchat with the heat shell is able to pen. Anyways, we get on to the fight here. It is a 5v4 at the moment. HP is still pretty good for 07, basically even, but they're down a gun.
Yeah, but look at this. Even when Major Issues was spotted, I thought that we would see a different reaction from Aquatic M60s, but instead they mostly ignore Major Issues and allow for Arclet to get a kill shot. Felix is almost down. There is the focus fire we were looking for that needed to be there seconds ago. Finally arrives. Now 3 tanks from 07 versus the 4 of Aquatic M60s. Aquatic is nearly regrouped. They've got Mr. Man on the flank. FC Dynamo is pinned out of position, although Warbander is able to take down Felix.
Mr. Man causing all sorts of trouble for 07 right now, really keeping these guns out. Warbander doing what he can in the 2-on-1. And he's ultimately going to go down because Arclet can't really turn to help him. FC Dynamo's a one-shot. If Arclet turns to shoot, the Batchat can go and just kill FC Dynamo.
And FC Dynamo, though, is going to decide, I'm going to get out of here, although not in time.
Is he going to get
Mr. Man's going for it.
They exchange shots. He picks it up. And that should seal this. That should mean that Mr. Man can come in here and get some shots off. M60's playing that beautifully. Great play, great game sense out of Mr. Man to realize the position he was in, realize that he had that 50B isolated, to keep the IS-7 out of the fight. He kept 2 tanks. That single-handedly won that game. He kept 2 tanks out of the fight.
Yeah.
So the 3v1 against Warbander could go on. Now, Warbander did take down Fosta in that, or not Fosta, but Felix in the E3, but there was still a 2v1. Instead of Arclet being able to put his HP and his gun into that fight to help him and make it a 2-on-2, because of Mr. Man's positioning, he knew that if he left, he was going to give up his 50B. So they wanted to keep the 50B alive, but the turn you give up your mouse. So it's kind of, you know, what do you do? It was a just great play just to tie them up. Not by doing damage, but just being there. You know, so I've said that a lot the last couple of match days.
But just being there is sometimes often enough.
Exactly. You don't need to get those shots. You see a lot of autoloader players, especially.
It's a beautiful statement, James, on so many levels. Just being there for someone, guys. Just remember that at all times. Remember, James Greaves told you, just be there for someone.
Yeah. Well, overall, though, you know,
just be there for someone like Marsh. Or like Mr. Man.
No, I like
be there.
before I get back to the other point, one thing I will say is I do like the idea here out of 07. Show a bunch of tanks up north, bait the big, heavy, slow tanks to start moving, and then try to drive away from them and get towards the other tanks. However, it just took a little bit too long. The second the tanks were in a position, they really got punished when they tried to rotate out to help them. So the idea was there, execution was not.
Yeah, and then, well, that's just the way it goes down. Aquatic was managed to hold.
Yep,
they managed to hold.
Mr. Man, top fantasy point scorer of that game, 94 points, 33, 2 kills. However, not top damage. Big cheese in that mouse, almost 4K, 76 fantasy points. Arclit and Warband top damage dealers, both above 3K, 407. Marsh, another 2,800. And it drops off after there. Felix, really 2.5 shots of damage, 2 kills. So that's probably part of the reason for the low damage, 2 kills. When you have a high alpha done like that, makes a little bit of sense. Yeah. And then on to the second page, just pretty much drops off after that. Makos, E4, 1,500.
Golosoid got,
deleted.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much deleted.
Yeah, and poor, Marsh in that, or Makos in that E4, he stayed there as long as he could, but Mr. Man got up behind him. And even
it was a strong play.
Yeah, Makos did what he could. He got his back of his tank up against the building, made it so he only had his front. But Mr. Man used the heat shields on that bat chat, had clean shots in the lower plate, and made him work for it. So overall, good stuff.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to sit there and stare at an E4, even though it's a little scary, and just make sure you land the right shells.
It's one of those things. You have to know you're going to pay the toll. You're going to pay that 750, but guess what? I have 5 shots. Should be enough to kill him. I just need to make sure my shots count. And Mr. Man, being clinical as he always is, making it count, taking him down, and that really opened up the rest of the map for Aquatic M60s.
Yep, and now they're going to switch sides, James. They're going to switch sides. We're going to see how this one goes. We take a look at the initial lineups from both teams. You're going to see a few of those vibes coming out here.
A very Arclit lineup is what I want to say right now with the SO7.
Is there something wrong with that?
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but just look. Certain tanks brought for certain roles. 50B, IS4, Type 5, 25As, E3, E4. So you're going to see a certain position for each of these tanks where it makes sense to put that one tank at that point in time.
Where they're not interchangeable.
Yeah, the problem is the lack of flexibility that will bring. Now looking at Aquatic M60s, 250Bs, an I7, 2 mice, 5A, and a batch. A little bit more flexible lineup. 50Bs can flex around, I7 can play a lot, mice are universal. 5A, universal as always, and the bat chat can kind of flex around. Might struggle against a few of these tanks, especially if he comes across that Type 5. Get a nice full pen. We've seen a lot of light tanks eat those Type 5 shells recently.
It hurts. Yeah. It hurts a lot. But now we're going to see Type 5 if it can do its job here. We'll see in a moment what these opening moves are, how these develop, where everyone's going to be heading off in their opening moves. And it looks like 50B southwest to start this one off. Not uncommon for a defender.
Yeah, we're going to see the IS-4. What we're talking about. IS-4 is going to go to the clock tower. Position where it can reverse side scrape, deal with that one cap. E4 going to sit there on the corner where it can shoot south, pull back, shoot towards the hill if it has to. E3 just overwatching the 5As, the 50B, pushing aggressively. Type 5 holding that 3 line. Position where a lot of heavily armored tanks will poke up. That way the Type 5 can just fire off shots. HE always does damage, slowly chip away at them, even if you can't get an accurate shot at that range.
Yep. And then FC Dynamo got spotted in the south, by the way, while that was going down. Huge tell for Aquatic M60s. Now they know that 50B is down there. Will they decide to do anything from it?
Well, 2 mice heading towards the south, so it says maybe M60s will if they're not careful.
What do you think of Southwest plays on the attacker side?
Can work, especially if you know the other team has as many tanks as 07 do out of position right now. Because that E4 and IS4, they're not supporting this. So if you can start an engagement on that west side with 2 tanks out of the fight, you can make it work. That's extra guns, extra HP you have there. And you have, depending on the tank, you may have a little while to flex over that. IS4, not a fast heavy tank, one of the slower ones. It's going to take a little while, probably 30 seconds to get over to the other side of the map.
30 seconds, minute, to get from where he is to...
If he turns around and takes off, 30 seconds.
To be able to support that side of the map.
Yeah, exactly.
That's, sorry, semantics.
E4, E4, same thing. They're probably about 30 seconds because it's a bit slower than the IS4. It takes a little bit longer to get over there. So, it's 2 tanks out of the fight, so we'll have to see what they can do. But now the mice are going to be pushed. 5A did get across the courtyard in the middle for F60s. Going to get up across that D3 spot. Type 5 shell comes out there, 554. Warbander getting caught out, taking another shot from the mice. Going to be able to back up there.
Not dealing not quite the damage you would really like to at this point. You want to really make those Moisten pay on the attack. They need to pay the toll as high as you can get it. But not the biggest toll this time. And you're actually seeing that one of the 5As kind of out in the open without a lot of support. Warband are not able to bring the support fire in at the most appropriate interval. And because of that, I think Big Cheese is going to have a shell for him in just a sec. Nice. 389 into Big Cheese.
Felix is actually up on the hill, has shots to cover him in that 50B, so doing what he can to keep this WZ in the middle covered. But now look at this. This is what M60s wanted. They've baited tanks into this 1-2 line fight. They have these tanks over here, and guess what? Now they can start working towards that 2 cap because those tanks have had to rotate out.
And also because of the damage dealt. Major issues going down. Warbander's next. He's not doing great in this fight. Was he firing normal AP? It looked like for a moment. It's confusing. I'm gonna check on this in a sec. Was he using AP? Next time he shoots. But why would you be using AP as opposed to the heat? I can't think of a good reason.
All these train cars in the south be the main one. A lot of destructible objects that could hit. However, you're shooting at mice. It's kind of not really an option, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Still?
Okay, that's heat. That's heat. Right there. That one's easy. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I swear I saw it. Anyway.
Yep, now look at this. This is what I'm saying. They've rotated him out. Now the Batchet's going to push over the 2 cap. 50Bs over there. They can get aggressive. Type 5 in the middle. And now M60s have that 2 cap. They've executed this very well. Now what are 07 going to do to respawn?
Don't know at this point. Warbender seems pinned at this. 50Bs chilling out in the back. The E4 right now and IS4 are moving to the 2 cap to defend. So that says to me right now, well, 07 isn't in a great spot. They probably are actually kind of just reacting because they have to. 36 seconds on the cap, that's 2 tanks, right? This is tricky. This is tricky for 07.
Look at the position there, and they're already down a gun. They have to take tanks away to deal with this north cap, but as they do, that's going to be less tanks supporting the 1-2 line. So now all of a sudden the WZ and 50B down there are going to be more and more exposed. And so this is just Aquatic M60 is really turning the screws, making this hard. Giggles bounces a shot, fires off one for 500.
Onto Arclit, gets the second one, and surprise, Felix is not where you thought he was. Pulls out on the flank of Andy Pants. Instant ambush. This is just...
Felix missing a shot there, though.
Doesn't matter.
And he's going to kill them. Well, they're both their autoloaders. He's only going to have one more shot. And bounces that one. Forearm coming in there, and now they both should reload before he can crank out enough damage to kill either of them. But
yeah, but that was embarrassing. You should have had that kill.
Yeah.
That's something you need to get.
Should not matter at this point, but if this had been a closer game, that could have been critical.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah, sure.
Colsoid doing what he could against Giggles, fired a shot, didn't get a connection. He's going to back off now. Colsoid is in trouble. Giggles pushing around, picks up the kill.
Nice shot through the window with Feeling Potato. Not bad. Mr. Man looks like he's about to stack up there.
He's going to come in here.
IS4.
Try to pick up the kill. Felix is going to empty a shot. Mr. Man gets the kill. Says, nope, Felix, that's mine. FC Dynamo does take down Giggles finally.
Now Makos is backing up. Feel my potato, don't get greedy. Oh.
Pupil is in trouble.
Makos with the clutch kills. Now it's 4 versus 2, but hey, that wasn't bad from 07. They picked up a few kills that I didn't think they were going to be able to. Normally you wouldn't be able to.
FC Dynamo's reloading. Mr. Man's going to go in here as fast as he can. He bounces his first shot. 5-8 puts one in return, and FC Dynamo's going to be loaded. He might pump out another shot. He bounces another.
What?
Mr. Man making a meal of this. He finally picks it up.
Wow. I cannot, like, sometimes these guys, just things happen, and I don't understand.
Between Felix and Mr. Man there.
Yeah.
But Felix putting up some good damage overall there, it looks like.
Yeah, to look down at the post game, about 4K, little 3.9.
Or Pupil, actually, top damage, so not bad.
Yeah, 3.9, 50B. He did his job pretty well. Yep. But altogether, just, these Himmelsdorf battles have been something.
They've been something all right, I'll give you that.
Been something.
And that's going to make it 3-1 in favor of Aquatic M60s. The next map's going to be Murovanka.
Okay. So as we go to Muro, I'll pose you this, something I've been planning on for a little bit while we look at the replay of this last battle. Based on the way everything's gone so far, do you think either team's going to settle into a good groove, or is this going to stay kind of crazy?
M60s definitely look like they could settle where they're at right now. However, they are playing 07, who are definitely on the struggle bus, so it's kind of hard to really read into this if you're M60s. You know, it's a win that they need to pick up. But at the same end, you know, I don't know how much this will actually do for their momentum overall.
Okay, we'll have to see.
If anything, at the very least, good morale boost, like Mr. Man was saying earlier.
Yeah, and just trying to keep your guys in control and keep focused, all the basics right there. Now,
Pupil 4K, 2 kills, almost 90 fantasy points. FC Dynamo on the opposite, the other 50B, 3,500, 1 kill, and 63 fantasy points. Not bad out of either. Feel My Potato making strong plays in that I7.
Yeah, gotta look out for that. IS-7's not known for being top damage dealers on any team, especially when you've got plenty of 5As and mice to run around.
Yeah, but has a few new buffs with the recent patch, a little bit of gun dispersion, some mobility, horsepower type thing, an extra few hundred HP. Can't really hurt.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I will say is that IS-7 is a very situational tank, but it is strong in certain situations. Hold downs, especially on a map like this, where there's all those dirt hold downs, the windows.
Just
IS-7,
places to shove that little exposed bottom of the Shuka in.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying by that is, you know, you still want to bring majority 5As. I think they're overall the stronger tank right now. However, especially with the heat shells and dealing with the mice. Yeah. However, to play a certain spot, the 5A turrets are kind of weak, don't have the greatest upper plate. And you have the I-7, it does a good enough job in those roles that it is worthy of bringing. Looking at the lineups as we head into battle number 5, Aquatic M60 is a mouse, 2 5As, 3 bat chats, and an STRV. 07 on the other hand, 3 5As, 3 bat chats, and a 140.
Okay. That'll work.
What does this lineup say for you from 07?
07? Just enough mobility to get around. Like that actual line, just enough mobility to get around and do stuff. But they aren't trying to say anything about hit points or armor all that much. It's kind of like, if you brought more mediums than this, you'd need to have an intention for all of the mediums. Because otherwise you should just bring some 5As, you know? It's like the classic old IS-3. Back in my day, we didn't have tier 10s. We had tier 8s. But they were just like the tier 10s, just smaller.
Less hit points.
Did proportionally more hit point damage to each other.
And 5100s could clip out anything.
Yeah, proportionally more damage to each other.
Yep, and T1 Cunningham's could get in behind and set 5100s on fire.
Yeah, and those were magical. Come on. Wouldn't you want to be tier 1 just taking
magically able to pop out of bushes and kill tanks that track themselves going over bumps on steps.
Oh, I know what you're referring to. Yeah. Come on.
Poor Fetch.
Oh, poor Fetch. Rest in pepperonis, those ancient players of ours. What is this? I don't... You know what happened to me on this map doing this move, but instead of heavy tanks, I was in a light tank. But usually this doesn't go so good. What 07 is trying to do, which is aggress a bunch of tanks up into the magical forest. This all depends on how Aquatic decides to deal with this. What do they go do? Because they actually decided to go play this really defensive. So, what's going on here, James?
Their defenders getting aggressive. They're deciding we're going to dictate the tempo. We're going to take one side of the map.
Why here?
Make you play the other.
And why is Aquatic doing this? Why are they here?
Because this comes down to a read. This comes down to knowing your opponent and knowing your homework. You know, I don't like saying the phrase "doing your homework," but in this case, we know what you guys tend to favor, which is a forest push, and they set up to deal with the forest push. That was what that opening play was. Well, how do we counter out what they're probably going to do? They predicted the forest push. They set up for it, and so far they're up a tank and about to be up a second one. This is just a good hard counter from M60s that's really paying off here.
Yeah.
That was deliberate. They were set up for it. They were looking for it, and they punished it.
There you go. I couldn't tell if it was 07 trying to counter Aquatic or Aquatic trying to counter 07 based on the way they both seemed so ready to just go forward into this.
All right, well, I think that was 07 saying one of two things. One, we're going to try to catch them out in the forest. Or two, we're going to take map control. We are going to take the forest and leave them only with that one cap. However, the problem is that M60 said they did one of two things. They said, look, we want to be cautious in case they go for a forest push, and so we're just going to set up and be ready for it. James. Or two, they knew what was going on.
Yeah, it's over, James.
Let's go.
It's kind of done now.
Yep.
It's you're looking at a FC Dynamo with 1 shell left. Makos is, well, he's the last one alive. And I think he believes in himself. He's just going to put fire on everything he can.
Rack up those fantasy points for those that picked him.
Yep. I need those points, Makos. And he'll do the best that he can, but he's just a one lonely object 140, doing the best he can.
The Bat Chat's going to show why they are so popular coming in right now. Actually bounces one. Heat shells the Bat Chat, always been a struggle.
Aw, just when they randomly let you down.
Hit, you know.
Not bad 140 play, to be honest. Like, he can win this 1v1 if no one else shows up.
Close.
Close. Not quite close enough this time. So that's it. That's another one. That's a fast one, too.
That's going to be a 4-1 win, and now we're going to need to see 3 straight rounds out of 07 to turn this back, and they still have 1 more round on Murovanka. And then if they can do that, then...
I don't know, James.
After Murovanka, it goes to Prokhorovka, which is a map that they're not particularly great at.
I should point something out. How many people were alive on the winning team after that battle?
7 tanks alive.
7 tanks alive. That makes it an ace. I looked around because I, for some reason, thought I had a tiny flag, but I don't. Woo! Yeah. So
what would have been really cool is if each person on the team had 1 kill exactly. However, not the exact spread.
That's going a little bit overboard with your trying to get perfect wins. Just a little, you know?
This is one of those things for 07 where it just didn't go as planned. I mean, M60s were there just ahead of time, whether it was a blatant hard counter, knowing that that's probably what they were doing and setting up for it, or saying, look, we're going to predict that you're going to push the forest. We think that's where you're going, so we're going to be ready for it early on, and they certainly were. They made sure Sturf could cover. 2,400 damage out of him, Mr. Man, but Feeling Potato and Marsh putting up pretty solid points. Makos, arguably most of that damage is just fantasy damage at the end after the fight was already over. I think over 1,000 of that was after the whole rest of his team was dead, so...
Don't read too much into that, unfortunately, because he was just too far away from the main engagement. He couldn't do anything about it. There was just no options for him.
Yep.
Colosoid on the side of 07 just puts up some damage as best he can. You saw just putting out fire and then trying to give some ground, but ultimately after that first engagement, 07 was at a disadvantage, and well, they just had to break and run, and it didn't work out very well for the damage output. So, as we get ready, we're going to go into what could be the final battle of this series, Aquatic versus 07. 07 will have to do something monstrous to win this. Aquatic is looking to close this, give themselves a solid 5-1 victory, something they can be proud of, keep themselves going forward in this series, or rather in this round robin, in this league, while 07 will have to go back to the drawing board.
Yep, 07 coming in with a 57, 3 5As, 3 Bat Chats, M60s, an i7, a mouse, 4 Bat Chats, and an ST-RV-103B. Now, 57, to me, says 2-cap. Use him to play the E2 corner, cover the i7 on cap, or one of the 5As on cap for that matter. No i7s to be found for 07. M60s on the other hand, mouse, pretty standard defensive lineup here. Stir, some Bat Chats, some heavy tanks to play up close.
Oh, early spotting. Marsh is going to find 2 Bat Chats on the side of 07 as they make an early push towards the 1-cap. Marsh decides to back off. It's not getting to an engagement, as you can see from the rest of the supporting tanks on Aquatic M60s. No one's really there for Marsh right now. Even if he tried to engage, stop the cap, slow it down. There are 3 tanks now on that cap and more on the way. As we are going to jump onto him. Look at that, dogpile on cap. Classic strat. This is what you might call a desperation move. It can be called bold. It can be called many things. But whether or not it works is what's going to be important here. As
they have to find the resets on the Bat Chats, which are in the middle of all their heavy tanks. This is really unconventional. 5 seconds. They know there's tanks in the middle. They're coming around. Marsh should be able to find some resets. Does get 1, but FC Dynamo and Warbander are the majority ones with the reset points now. Marsh is going to get really focused out, take a lot of damage. 15 seconds on the cap. The rest of the Bat Chats are coming in now.
Yep, and they will swarm around this. 07 will need to group up, get into positions, and counter this push out without losing their lighter Bat Chats. They need to keep tanks like FC Dynamo, Warbander, and Andy Pants live right now while they put those 5As out in front and just use them to kind of bludgeon the Bat Chats. But right now, it's not quite looking like that strat's going to work out, as the 5As are relatively healthy and Bat Chats are just being torn apart. Feel My Potato is nearly down, although Arklet and Foster are trying to deal with Giggles. Make it away, but not quite. And there we go. Now the mouse, Big Cheese, has decided to join the fight with Arklet and Foster down below. Mr. Man will be playing 1v1 versus Foster. Foster looks like he's going to go for Feel My Potato. No connection. Colosoid taken out by Big Cheese. That's the mouse right there, 1v1ing with the WZ5A.
Mr. Man getting in there in the STRV, trying to get off some more damage, farm those fantasy points. One of the most picked players in the fantasy league, Arklet. Last heavy tank alive. C goes down to Felix.
Warbander is the only one left.
He does pick up a kill on the Feel My Potato.
Nicely played there. He's not
1v4, but only 425 HP.
I mean, the only thing he's got going for him is time and potential damage. He doesn't have hit points, doesn't have position, doesn't have allies, doesn't have nothing. He's probably done. To beat Pupil at 1800 with 3 shells, or Mr. Man, or any of these guys.
Chat Magic coming out there, getting a bounce. Two bounces.
The tank gods, RNGesus has smiled upon you.
Doesn't get a connection there though. Pupil's going to close, only has 1 shot, and you notice that he can just go for the ram. Actually, a low roll coming out from this TRV. And that is going to be it. That is going to be Aquatic M60s doubling their points on the season. And 07 1 game closer to going 0-7.
Yep. Well, best of luck to 07 next time. Congratulations to Aquatic. We were not sure how this was going to go. And after 1 win by 07 in battle number 1 on Sand River, it just straight Aquatic.
And I want to give credit where credit's due. Felix, very, very decisive today. I like the strats. I like the ideas. Had a very comprehensive game plan, understanding what they want to do and execute it outside of that first Sand River game. Not a fan of that.
You're right.
That was a little bit maybe too bold, but the rest of the place, especially Himmelsdorf, great understanding of the map. Murovanka here, two great, perfectly called games. They didn't panic. They understood what they needed to do to get the resets on that second one. The first one, they had a great read on the lineup from 07. So overall, everything, hats off to M60s and Felix.
Yeah, and then we can see this in the final battle, even 07 stayed strong, where often we've read into at least what they're doing, maybe not actually true, but we've kind of felt as if there was something missing towards the end. In this case, 07 just kind of got bolder, a little crazier with their strategies as things started to look more and more dire. Now we're going to look at the post game, and do you see anything standing out? I mean, Mr. Man makes perfect sense with 3,500.
It's starting to stir just in the south there. I am kind of surprised he did that much damage, to be honest, if you look at where the fight happened, on cap and over in that middle area. So he was able to get his gun into the fight, which you have to in that STRV. That's what makes it such a hard tank to play. With the siege mode, you really have to put yourself in good positions constantly to be able to do that, and he played it perfectly. And then, like, the second page, Batchat's not really able to do anything for either team. Warbander, 1,300, Giggles, 2 shots, and FC Dynamo only getting 1 shot off, really.
Huh. There you go. So, altogether, 07 ends this one not so great. Post-match, though, overall,
Mr. Man.
That's higher than last match, actually.
Yeah.
Just want to point that one
468. Marsh, another 338. Big Cheese, 296. Feel Potato, 2,800. Pupil, 2,600. Drops off after there. No one from 07 really able to make an impact in either of these rounds.
It happens. It hurts, but Aquatic did look much better today. 07 has a few things to do. Aquatic, though, can take this and say, okay, well, we played very well against an opponent which is near our skill. And as you can see, that Giggles is the only person who was left pretty low. And he's kind of just because he was playing flank or kind of playing that off position you noticed a lot.
No.
And so he'd either get damage or he wouldn't. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, no, overall, it was a good performance by M60s, and this is arguably some points they really needed. It's, halfway into the first round robin, they managed to get another 3 points, kind of move themselves up. They're going to pass F7, and they're already ahead of 07, so they're sitting in a good spot, and I believe they're not tied with Teal Team 6 as well. So overall, good stuff from them.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at those standings later, but right now I'm being told we have an interview ready with Aquatic M60s coming on up. Welcome back, sir, Mr. Man. That was interesting, as James likes to say. Let's get your thoughts though, just to start up. What did you think of that whole deal?
I was shooting a lot of tanks.
Yeah, shot a lot of bad. We noticed that you shot the bad men a lot, more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Very proud of you, because that's what we expect out of you, Mr. Man.
Thank you.
You are the main damage dealer of this league, and it's your responsibility to shoot the bad men. Now, everyone else, though, we saw some crazy stuff here and there. Battle number 1, Sand River. What was going on there? You guys dropped it.
I think the biggest thing there, first, Marsh and his Batchat, he poked over a little too much, got wrecked right away, and then we kind of brought it back when our Wheezies pushed into their I7 and Kranwagen, but I think we had a bounce or two on their I7, and they ended up winning that fight, so it kind of threw us for a loop there.
Yeah, and then the second battle on Sand River, the up and over, that crazy push. What was it like for you guys when that happened?
It was pretty scary because we had no idea it was coming. They took a really interesting path that we'll have to look into and figure out how to spot correctly. But yeah, they jumped right on us and we had no idea, so
Now, you
we
guys
had to adjust quickly.
Yeah, you guys definitely responded really well, though. You had maybe 10 seconds to get up in position. You were able to get on that little ledge and overwatch, and you guys traded really well.
Yeah, so that's why we wanted to know what you guys thought of that, because to us it was like, okay, Aquatic, good job.
Yep.
That was nice. It didn't seem like it was the perfectly rehearsed, but it just seemed like everything worked out for you guys. What can you say if that applies to every other battle afterwards, or what? Because it was, admittedly, this was a bit weird to watch for all of us because this was not standard. This was not the meta as we know it. You guys certainly brought something different tonight.
Yeah, especially like the Murvo attack. We just analyzed their lineup. We knew that there was a good chance they could be playing hard in the forest. That's kind of why we sent Marsh up by himself, just to try to bait something out of them, see if they really were going that way.
Oh well.
But yeah, we were just trying to read what they were doing and respond accordingly.
Yep. And so that covers the first question I was going to ask. But the second one, that STRV, you typically have played it a lot over the last couple seasons. And tonight, another strong performance in it. What do you make of the tank just in general? Just general thoughts on it. You seem to be a fan of it.
I enjoy it in League. I enjoy the consistency of the gun. In pubs, I don't really like it too much because I honestly don't really like sniping all that much. I kind of enjoy brawling with heavy tanks a little bit more in pub gameplay, but there's some finesses to it, like with the way you can wiggle and angle your tank and stuff, that it's very powerful on the right hand. So.
All right. Fair enough. All right, Mr. Men, any final thoughts for your fans out there?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Awesome.
All right, Mr. Man, we're going to let you get out of here. Congratulations once again on the win.
Yep. Thank you so much.
You.
All right. Oh, we have Mr. Man on. He's just so polite about it. Though.
Yeah. All right. Now we've had time to update the standings, so let's go ahead and see where it stands after match day 5.
All right. Take a look at this. We've got 15 points there for Elevate. We've got 12 for Dare, 11 for Eclipse. That's why it's important that the match that we had, Top Tier versus Eclipse, went to a tiebreaker, because that's 2 points and 1 point. 7 points there for Top Tier, 6 for Teal Team 6. Tied with Aquatic M60s, 3 points for F7, and yes, Giant Goose Egg there for 07.
You need to pick it up, and they only have 2 rounds left, and I believe one of those is versus Eclipse still, so they're not out.
Call them 007?
All right, guys.
Just thought I would.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. So make sure, once again, you guys follow us on Twitter at WGLNA to stay up to date with everything in the league and be ready for Thursday matches. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook for the Facebook Live pre-show at facebook.com/WGLNA. We're live every match day at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. Get all your fantasy questions answered. We'll give you roster updates. We should have the map picks in by then and just help you guys out with your fantasy team.
Yep. And of course, FantasyTanks.com. Win Type 59s, gold prizes, everything. Just go on over there. FantasyTanks.com. FantasyTanks.com. FantasyTanks.com.
What's the website?
FantasyTanks.com.
Awesome. All right, Randall, any final thoughts before we go for the night?
Today was fun. Thank you.
No, it was a real thrill to bring these matches to you guys tonight. However, that is going to do it. We will see you guys on Thursday, so make sure you guys tune back in at 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. Till then, see you guys later.